Okay, good evening. Welcome to our April 1st, 2025 City Council meeting. Right now it's 7 p.m. Okay, meeting is now in session. Any person wish to address the City Council during the oral communication must complete a speaker card that is provided at the entrance, to the City Council chamber and submit to the card to the Assistant City Clerk prior to the commencement of oral communication. Speaker card will not be accepted after oral communication has started. Okay, and tonight invocation will be led by Uncle Pastor Felicia, Bonris, from Merce Chapel, St. Paul AME Church, and Councilman Canto will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. All rise, please. Come to the mic, please.
Good evening, Mayor Wu, esteemed members of the West Covina City Council, staff, constituents, and all concerned and engaged members present tonight. Let us take a moment to look to the Lord. Gracious God of all, we gather as a community united by our shared purpose of fostering progress, fairness, and well-being for all who live within our city limits. We ask you, God, for your guidance, that we may reflect on our responsibility to serve with integrity, wisdom, and compassion. May our discussions today be marked by justice, respect, and a commitment to the common good. Grant us the clarity to make decisions that are just and forward-thinking, and the humility to listen with open hearts to all voices. May we be inspired by a sense of duty to those we represent, and may our actions today contribute to the betterment of our city for generations to come. With open minds and hearts, we begin this meeting with the hope that the choices we make will reflect the best of who we are as a community. In your mighty and matchless name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please face the flag, and we invite you to remove hats, if any, and follow my lead. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please have a seat. City Clerk, roll call, please.
Good evening, Mayor. Councilman Contos.
Here.
Councilwoman Diaz is out this evening. Councilmember Gutierrez.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Lopez Viado.
Present.
Mayor Wu.
Here. Okay, City Attorney, do you have anything to report from a closed session?
Nothing to report, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, now we'll go to our presentation. The first one is a proclamation and presentation by recognizing the April as a Donate Life.
Excuse me, Mayor, if I may. I did want to just acknowledge that I'll be pulling item number 6, the West Coast Arborist Agreement, and adding it to the April 15th council meeting.
Got it, but it's a consent calendar, so we can do it later. But let's do the presentation first, please. Okay, and so I think this is important, April as a Donate Life Month. And let me come down, and Lisa Lesniak.
Okay. Susan. Susan.
I'm a horrible pronounce people's name or remember people's name. Okay, so I know I saw you for 10 times already. I thank you so much for your dedication. Okay, National Donate Life Month was established by Donate Life America, and there is a partnering organization in 2003. Observed in April each year, National Donate Life Month help raise awareness about donation, encourage Americans to register as organ, eye, tissue donor, and to honor those who have saved life through the gift of donation. I think it's so important for people to remember, and that donate their organ is save life. So I know you've been doing this all the time, and April come, April go. Now it's another April, but we need to remember, and it's of course, at the Rose Parade, we see the Rose Parade, the cars with all the donor, with person saved, and there is very touching. So we want you to, again, and to tell people how important to donate when they have the chance to register as a donor.
Thank you very much, Mayor Wu, and thank you to the council members and the residents of the city who are watching from home, maybe. I am Susan Lesniak. I'm an ambassador for One Legacy. And what is One Legacy? Let me give you a quick overview because that is the organ procurement organization that's covering our area for Los Angeles, including other counties, all the way from Bakersfield out to Inland Empire. So we cover 7 counties, which is over 20 million people in population. And I wanted to do a little bragging on behalf of the company because I am very proud to be affiliated with it. Right now, we have 2 transplant centers in Azusa and Redlands, and they just opened up some extra satellite offices. So they're going to be covering Orange, Mission Hills, El Segundo, Carpinteria, and Bakersfield because it's such a huge geographic scope, and they needed more people out there. Because One Legacy has grown, and there's over 500 employees there now with 160 active ambassadors like me, volunteers. And what do the volunteers do? But we come out to do outreach. We're at community events. We're at high schools. We're at the DMV. We're at hospitals, constantly talking to the partners there and thanking them for their pay in our part. We do cards, letters. We do aftercare for the donor families. There's a lot of grief counseling involved and anniversary cards. We do the Day of the Dead. We do stuff for kids' camps and stuff like that so that everybody can process their grief. But more importantly, it's become a new family and a tribe for me because you work with other donor families in addition to other recipients of various organs. And so with that, it becomes a big love fest. And that's what the April Run Walk is to me. It's a chance for everybody to make their teams, to come on behalf of their medical institution that helped them, their transplants, the recipients. People are there performing that have been recipients, that are honoring their loved ones. And there are teams with, you'll see posters all over of all the people that have donated. And these proclamations that I collect from the cities are also displayed there. So I invite you all to come on April 26th to Azusa Pacific College. It's early in the morning. If you can't make the walk or the run, that's fine, but come and just see the festival and to see the people that are there. There's one other thing I wanted to bring to your attention is that, has anybody heard xenotransplantation? Ever heard that weird word? I didn't. I'm not a scientist. Okay, so it's transplanting from species to species. And so in the recent couple of years, on the East Coast, they have taken pig heart and pig kidneys and implanted it into patients. Now, I want you to understand that these patients have already been disqualified from the transplant for other various reasons. And they're volunteering to be part of this study. So, don't think that somebody just snatched off the street. It's very complicated, and it's done in research facilities and hospitals. So there was 2 men that have received pig hearts. Unfortunately, one died in 2 months from other complications. The second one died 6 weeks later with a rejection. We all take that chance of having rejection. In March of 2024, a 62-year-old man accepted a pig kidney, and he also lasted about 2 months with it. But we have a woman in November 2024 and February 25th of 2025 as a man. They both had kidneys from the pigs, and they're still alive. And that is just amazing. It is not just the donors that are heroes in my book, but these patients that are willing to take the risk to further science on our behalf, because there's over 100,000 people waiting for organs across the country. 80% of that is for kidneys. Kidneys in high demand. And if there was a way to be able to actually get more from pigs that are genetically modified and kept in a lab and clean, You know what I'm saying? That would be a great aid to many, many patients that are out there. So with that, I'm just going to tell you that I had heart cardiomyopathy, and I lived with it for 25 years of medications until I got to the point where I was too bad and I had to go and get evaluated for a transplant. And I was really blessed that I was able to get that at UCLA. And I've been also blessed, no rejection. So I am almost 5 years out, and that's why I'm a repeat visitor here. When you stop seeing me, then you're like, uh-oh, Susan didn't make it. So thank you so much for supporting us. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, Lisa. We want to see you another 10 years, okay, over here, maybe another 20 years, okay, but I won't be here, okay, but you will be here, okay, but I think this is something very important for you to continue with a passion to help people, to educate people about how important, okay, and to register as a donor, okay, and because it saves life. It saves so many lives, okay, and I watched so many of documentary regarding, even the recent one is about the parents show up to listen to heart from a recipient, and their son donate the heart to the person, and they just put the ear to the chest of the recipient and they listen their son's heart beating right there in somebody. So the person live. Continue. Very touching. It's a really a good, documentary on the YouTube, and I watch it numerous times because it's very touching. Okay, I think, and especially, and every year you have that float with all the people's pictures. Okay, and all the recipient on there, they still alive. I think this is bring, and important about, how we need to save life by, register so one day you can save some people to continue to live on their life. So thank you so much. I have a proclamation. Donate Life month, April. April is a good month. It's springtime and the weather get better, and hopefully people understand how important to save life. Thank you so much of your dedication. Thank you so much. And see you next year, April, and Letty will be the mayor, and he will be to greet you. So we have a bargain, right? We have a promise. So I see you next year. Yeah, thank you so much, Lisa. I see you next year.
Susan.
Oh, Susan. What I call her?
Lisa.
Okay, Susan. I'm a horrible with name. I already put a disclaimer at the beginning. Okay. Susan, thank you so much, Susan. Okay, next one will be the proclamation and the presentation recognizing April as another important month for National Autism Month. Autism spectrum disorder is a lifelong developmental disability consisting of a broad group of disorders that vary widely from mild to severe, and is characterized by the difficulty with the social interaction and communication, severely limited interest, and repetitive. I was practiced, but I still screw up. Okay, behavior. Okay, the Autism Society recognized that the prevalence of autism in the United States has risen from 1 in 125 children in 2010 to 1 in 59 in 2020. So it's a major increase of the autism population. Recognizing this continue increase the goal for AAM, meaning the autism, April Autism National Autism Month, to further increase awareness about autism sign, symptom and opportunity. Also, a cure for autism has not been found. A person with autism can be helped to reach their greatest potential. Accurate early diagnosis and the resulting appropriate intervention, education, and the support are vital to the highest quality of life for the individual. And I think autism is a lot of our children, a lot of people, have this syndrome. And again, we see what the children, when they have issue, they cannot communicate with people. They kind of cocoon themselves inside their their body and they cannot communicate with people. And how can we have all these children get a treatment and try to interact with community and act with their parent, or their teacher, and that is something we need to know. Because if 1 to 59 in 2022, so meaning we have a lot of population that create autism. I don't know what create that increase. Is the water, or chemistry we have, don't know what why we have increased. I know the water company coming out to say something quality of water is important, so how can we from 1 or 220 become 159? So why is the increase? It's the air, the water, the chemistry, the food. So hopefully we can find a way to decrease or this continue to increase. If 1 of 59 in 2030, maybe 1 of 20, that would be scary. So we want to make sure we can find an issue and to let. But they have a miracle, and they have, people can achieve, and their life, even they have autism. See, I'm better without the script. I read the script horrible, but when I talk, without the script, I'm doing better job. But the one thing is this, it's important for person really, to interact, to overcome their deficit, be confident about who they are, including myself, and including the person with autism. So here, I want to introduce a person with a deficit in life, and I want him to represent the autism, society, the community that can be overcome. I want to introduce our council member, Brian Gutierrez. Would you come down with me? He born with autism, and I can communicate with him. So meaning, he overcome his issue. I think that's important. And with his background as a foster care child, when you grow up, overcome that obstacle, and with autism, but he never gave up in his life, and he went to all the education, and they never give up his life. And not only he doing good in his life, and he give back to the community, now serving as our city council and doing great job. Sometimes a little bit too aggressive, but he is really helping, and the community, especially his District 1. He's working so hard. So I want to put the mic to him so he can tell us how you overcome, how can we continue, to help the autism community, and how can those community and use you as an example and to continue, never give up the child, never give up. We need to bring them and treat them equally like everybody. Go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor Wu, and I want to thank my council colleagues, not only this year, but for the last couple of years for supporting and being advocates for the autism community. I'm proud to be the first council member elected with autism in West Covina, California. I'm proud to be the first person with autism elected in the San Gabriel Valley. And like Mayor Wu stated, now it's 1 in every 36 children born today would have autism. And the cure is unknown, but research is promising. And I am here as your council member, but and I will continue to work with heart and passion to make a difference in my community. Me being here today shows that a person who grew up in the foster care system can succeed. A child who was once physically and mentally abused as a child can succeed. So no matter where one person comes from in life, as long as you believe in yourself, the impossible is always possible. And so I just want to remind everyone who's watching at home too, to the parents and caregivers, and guardians who know someone or who have someone with autism. It may be hard at times, but do know your passion and your dedication will one day make a difference. So on behalf of myself, as a council member for the city of West Covina, I commend our parents, our caregivers, our friends and families who know someone with autism. And so that's my speech.
Great job. Okay, let's give him a hand. You can see how great our resident voter They are, okay, they, no matter how your background, if you work hard, you can persuade your voter resident, and no matter who you are, you have a chance, okay, and to lead the city and to help and to serve the city. And I think you can see all the councils sit over there. You can see very diverse. Everybody have a deficit of their background, but they are willing to serve, and the resident will give them a chance. And if you do a good job, you get reelected. Otherwise, they will remove you, okay, with somebody up new. They don't care you're an artisan or not. Okay, so the point will be, I know somebody, Lisa say, oh my God, you brutal, but to tell the truth, nothing but the truth. But the thing, so you have to perform and serve, and okay, yes, I know, I know. I may be getting replaced. Okay, so because I talk too much. Okay, but anyway, I think the important thing is over here. The artisan is basically in our population, but you can see with the never give up, with education. Okay, I think education is the most important thing. So you learn how to communicate with people, and with community, okay, support. And you can see Brian is an example about overcome the artisan. He's doing a great job, and okay, people can basically recognize your effort. So, okay, as a city of West Covina, we want to have a proclamation, the April National Artisan Awareness Month, and we want to show the artisan community how important, and as you as the inspiration, okay, to have the community of artisan to understand, yes, okay, sky's the limit for them. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, and the next one I want to call Chief Brown. Okay, talk about the fire hydrant. Okay, because a lot of after Pacific Palisade, okay, and they can turn on the fire hydrant as no water coming out, and it scare everybody. So we want to make sure you check in, and the water company make sure all the line have a water inside. We have so many hill up and down, okay, and hopefully, okay, everything is in the proper condition. So if we need it, we open it up, the water is right there. So go ahead.
Absolutely.
You want to use that?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff, and citizens of West Covina. Today we're going to give a presentation on the hydrants and water supply. Next slide. This presentation is to address public concern regarding the water systems in West Covina. Next slide. The water supply in West Covina is managed by 8 different water purveyors. The city does not control any of the water supply in West Covina. Next. Up there is a map that shows the 8 different water purveyors. You can see by the middle of the map, the purple section, that Suburban Water is the biggest water company for the city of West Covina. Within the city limits of West Covina, there are 2,890 fire hydrants by those 8 water companies. They are responsible for maintaining the fire hydrants. The fire department also has the ability to spot check hydrants as needed. Next. NFPA requires annual inspection for leaks, damage, function, and clearance around the hydrants. Flow testing is required every 5 years to ensure the hydrants are have the proper flow coming out of them. This map here shows the area up there by the Sportsplex and BKK. It runs between the city of West Covina and Walnut and extends all the way from Azusa Avenue all the way over to Grand. That's probably our highest wildfire area within the city. Next. Like I said, Suburban Water is the biggest and also responsible for part of the area that we were talking about. And Valencia Heights Water Company is the other water purveyor that is responsible for the area up there in South Hills. This map shows the location of just 3 of the elevated water tanks that provide water in the event that the pumps go out. They're elevated systems. They're gravity fed that feed back down into the system in the event that there's a power outage. It gives the time to the water companies to get backup generators out to those pump stations if they aren't already there, to get those on, and it provides us time to still have water provided in the event of a power outage. Those are located on Green Ridge Terrace up by Gallister Park, at the top of Inspiration Point, and one over at Heritage Park. There is also a lot more in the city, but those are the 3 highlighted ones up there in that area. The fire department has not experienced an issue with dry hydrants or lack of water pressure. The city has an ISO rated Class 1 water system that is exceptional. Valencia Heights Water District wanted to be here. The person is out on business, but they provided a couple slides that they would like me to present. So I'll present that on behalf of Gloria Glanito. Valencia Heights is the other water district up in South Hills area. It's a water company with approximately 1,700 service connections. The service area includes the city of West Covina, unincorporated parts of Los Angeles County, and the city of Covina. The water system is comprised of 11 reservoirs with a capacity to store 5.5 million gallons of water, 3 wells that have a capacity to pump anywhere between 800 and 1,500 gallons per minute, and they have 33 miles of pipeline. Valencia Heights has 4 interconnections with the following water agencies to ensure water reliability during an emergency event: the City of Covina, Metropolitan Water District, Suburban Water Systems, and Walnut Valley Water District. Valencia Heights is a member of the Public Water Agency Group. It's emergency management that includes 20 water agencies throughout Los Angeles County. Valencia Heights General Manager is the chair of the Emergency Management Coordination Committee. They have 2-way radios to communicate with other agencies. They have mutual aid agreements in place if they have the need for additional equipment, supplies, or labor. And the members are able to help the impacted agencies of the Eaton Fire. Valencia Water District has been able to send staff to help over with their water systems. How does Valencia Water prepare in the case of a power outage, fire event, or any other emergency? They ensure all reservoirs are filled to capacity. They ensure that the company's 2 portable generators are topped off with fuel, ready, and pre-positioned wherever deemed necessary. Communicate with all staff, making sure that everyone is aware of a possible event. They communicate with their mutual aid partners. And the company has several days of fuel storage for the 2 generators and their fleet. Valencia Water maintains over 200 hydrants in the service area. The hydrants are inspected as part of a valve maintenance program on a routine basis. As part of a continued capital improvement projects, Valencia Water Heights upgrades hydrants as needed. That concludes Valencia Heights. At this point, I would like to call up Craig Gott, President of Suburban Water Systems, and Michael Delgado, the Vice President of Field Operations.
Thank you, Chief Brown. Michael Delgado, Vice President of Field Operations for Suburban Water. And Mayor Wu and members of the council, thank you for asking us to come and talk about our system and how our fire hydrants work and how firefighting works within our system. So just get some background on Suburban as a whole. On this map, the area in the red hatch marks is the city of West Covina. So Suburban has we serve 300,000 residents. We have 78,000 600 water meter connections. And in our entire system, we have almost 7,000 fire hydrants. And to take care of all that, we have 134 employees. In the city of West Covina itself, we have 20,000 water connections and about 2,100 fire hydrants. So part of our job as a water utility is to help maintain public safety and to help maintain public health. So Suburban has a very well-maintained water system and a well-designed water system. And really, as Chief Brown mentioned, the score from the Insurance Services Office to have West Covina's fire department be a Class 1 rated, which is the highest class, 40% of that rating is based on the water system. And our water system meets all health and safety regulations for water quality. And anyone that's interested can go online and look up a water quality report for the water served in your area. And it's called the Consumer Confidence Report. And one thing I'd want to point out, when you live in West Covina, you're part of what we call the San Jose Hills water system. So, because it serves some other areas as well. So if you want to look up that report, go ahead and pull up the San Jose Hills Consumer Confidence Report. So I wanted to talk a little bit too in my presentation about how the water gets to the hydrants, right? So the water system enables the fire department to fight structure fires and help protect life and property. And there's about, as I mentioned, around 7,000 fire hydrants in our water system as a whole. So we get water, the source would be from wells, groundwater wells. We also have interconnections with other agencies, like Metropolitan Water District. That water goes into tanks that maybe are at lower elevations, and then there's pump stations that pump it up to the higher elevations where there'd be a tank up on the hill. And that water is what comes out of the hydrants, right? The hydrants are tapped off to the water mains that serve all the customers and all the residences. So the primary purpose of the hydrants, right, is to help save lives. That's the first thing that the fire department wants to do, is allow people to get out of a burning structure. Maybe the secondary things to protect property and kind of reduce the spread of fire from, one structure to another structure. And the thing to remember is, like, the water systems aren't designed to fight wildfires. And if you think about it, if you go in those areas, those kind of natural areas, there aren't hydrants there, right? So the hydrants are located anywhere where there's a street and water mains. Our teams inspect about 2,000 fire hydrants every year. And when we find any that are broken or need to be replaced, we'll replace them as soon as we find out. And we spend about $1 million a year just replacing hydrants. And whenever a new developer comes or someone's building a new building, be it a residence or a commercial building, we actually have to do a fire flow test of the hydrants that are near there. We record all that information, and it helps us calibrate what we call our hydraulic model, which is an electronic kind of simulation of how the water system works, so we can keep track of any areas that might have issues. So a really important part of how the hydrants work are pipelines. So Suburban's 80% of our pipelines were installed between 1955 and 1965. They're basically the age of the neighborhoods. So we've been doing about a very prudent 1% pipeline replacement program, which really, if you think about it, it would take 100 years to get through all the pipelines. And we invested about $15 million just in 2025 in replacing pipelines. We use AI modeling and testing of the existing mains to help prioritize which ones need to be replaced first. Now, we asked for that again in our rate filing with the California Public Utilities Commission, and they actually approved less. They wanted us to replace less, which isn't really what we were fighting for, and they only approved a 0.3% rate, which is like 333 years to get through everything. So we're going to apply again and ask again to be able to replace more lines. And the thing that's really important about that for firefighting is that's how the water gets through the mains. especially if the fire department's trying to use more than one hydrant, maybe because the fire's spreading, the more robust and better capacity that the mains have, the easier it is for that water to get to those hydrants. And so those are investments that we're going to keep making. The other part of it, and we talked about the tank. So we have a tank management program. So they provide a short-term storage to meet peak water demands and a couple of hours of storage for fighting a fire. And the other thing that we use them for, when there's not a fire, is to really pump and fill them on the off-peak hours from Edison to reduce energy use. And we do routine condition assessments. And we'll inspect the coatings, and we can inspect the coatings by draining the tank, and we also use professional divers that go in and can video inside of the tanks and make sure they're in good shape. And then, as needed, we'll drain and clean them in case sediment or things like that collects on the bottom. And then we can plan ahead for any kind of the rehabilitation we might need to do. And when we do that rehab, like in this picture, they're actually sandblasting a reservoir, getting ready to recoat it. We'll upgrade safety equipment, things like that, ladders and that kind of stuff. And if there are power outages, it might limit our ability to pump water through the pump stations. So we install permanent generators at a lot of critical facilities. And if you think about it, we try and install them in areas where it can lift the water kind of to the highest tanks. So maybe every pump station doesn't need generators because there's more than one pump station that can lift up to those higher tanks. And we do routine maintenance, routine testing to ensure that they work. And then we also have portable generators that we can move around if we need to different pump stations. And each of the pump stations has, we call them transfer switches, but there's a way to plug in those big generators and run the pump station. And to do all this, we have dedicated water operators that do all this work. This is their profession. They have between them over 100 distribution and water treatment certifications from the state of California, and they run everything 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. There's staff right now that are monitoring the water system remotely. So we do all of that with affordability in mind, and it's really a really good value because we only charge about half a cent per gallon of water. And that small investment helps provide that safe and reliable water service. And it allows us to do those replacements of the pipelines, of the hydrants, and those kind of things. And I know some folks, are worried about their bill, and the best way that they can reduce their bill is through conservation. And that one thing to think about is about 70% of water use is outdoors. So really planting the native drought-tolerant plants that are adapted to our climate would be the best way to reduce your water bill. And if you go to our website, we actually have links to upcoming seminars and webinars that you can go to learn about more ways to conserve and change your landscaping. And, I wanted to say thanks for having us up here, and thanks for the city partnering with Suburban and us being a partner. And, Councilmember Contos and helping with our conservation program and helping us make a video talking about that. And there's more programs than I show here if you go to the website. But customers that really need that assistance can apply, and they'll get a $9 discount per month off of their bill. And then we've got a program now in place where if you need help replacing leaking plumbing or even a leaking toilet, you can apply and get up to a $500 rebate to help cover that cost. And then we have our Lifeline program that if the part of the pipe that comes from the meter to your house has a leak, we'll come out and replace that. And that wraps up my presentation, and I can take any questions if anyone has them.
Okay, the council, anybody have a question? Who want to go first?
Letty.
Okay, Brian, okay, Mayor Pro Tem, go ahead.
Thank you. Quick question. Why did the California Public Utility Commission deny and lowered it? And when was the last time that occurred?
Actually, that was just recently. We're still waiting on the final decision, and we're actually getting ready to apply for the next rate cycle. And it was really just kind of related to cost. They were just trying to cut things to cut cost, which, as I pointed out, for half a cent a gallon, kind of having that ability for us to do those investments just makes a lot more sense.
And did that change because of the fire? I mean, are they reevaluating?
No, it was right before the fires.
Okay.
When they came out with that decision. So had the fires happened before that, I don't know if they would have maybe had different thoughts.
Okay. And then when draining the tank, how long does it stay empty prior to the refill?
Oh, it just depends on the work we have to do. And whenever we drain a tank, we make sure that there's another way to supply the zone that tank serves. In some places, we might have two tanks that are at the same level, so that way we can do one tank at a time. We can also, not to get into like super details, but we can put in valves where we can feed that zone where the tank's out of service from a higher zone, and that like reduces the pressure down to serve that zone.
Okay. And my last question is water usage, and you know how like there's times where we are in drought and they make all the residents say you can only use water 3 times, these days. Where are we at with that?
Right now, we're not in a mandatory conservation order from the governor, which was like an emergency order. But there is continuing legislation that we're going to have to start complying with called Making Water Conservation in California Way of Life. And it's a very long kind of duration to work on that. And it's very complicated, but it's based on what they call the ETO for the area, and it'll make a budget for the suburban as a whole to be efficient water use. So it's ongoing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this one's for the fire chief. Fire Chief Brown, can you confirm if all water companies serving the city of West Covina are in compliance with the testing requirements?
We're still in the process of doing that. We're in the process of completing a non-disclosure agreement with Suburban Water for their records. Valencia Heights has only 8 employees, and they're the second largest one. They're in the process of getting us those records. They just got their GSI person all hooked up and got that ready. And then we're still in the process of reaching out to those smaller water companies who have even fewer employees. But yeah, we're going to keep working on that until we get that completed.
And then just for, maybe this is a city attorney question, but are we going to be able to know if these water companies are in compliance publicly, or because of the non-disclosure agreement, that's going to prohibit it?
Yeah, I don't have the terms of the NDA, but to the extent we can inform the council of their compliance, we will. Absolutely.
Okay, great. So, so I guess I'll just say, if you could, April, May. Yeah, if you could update us hopefully by the first meeting of June, update on that compliance. And I'm assuming there's also within the fire code, you'll be able to even cite some of these companies if they're not in compliance?
That I'll have to look into, but like we said, we have the ability to go out, and even though we don't control the water, we as a fire department, we can spot check anything that we deem necessary. We have good relationships with our water companies, so if there is a hydrant that's out of service, most of the time they notify us before we even know about it. If one's damaged during a traffic accident or something like that, through our Verdugo dispatch, we'll notify the water companies, and they notify us right away when they're back in service. So we have a good working relationship with all of our water companies to ensure that our hydrants are working.
Great. And I'll just leave off by saying thank you for checking our fire hydrants. Thank our firefighters. I know when I spoke to you, I know it was a priority for you, and you were able to go out there and turn some of those fire hydrants on in the hills. So I know the residents are very happy to know that their fire hydrants work. So thank you.
And we always keep that as an utmost priority in our department, so we will continue to do that.
Mr. Mayor? Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A question from Mike from Suburban. To what extent could it be helpful if the city were to write a letter of support in favor of Suburban's efforts to maintain the pipes by having maintenance at a level of 1% per year instead of 33, instead of the third as it is now? Yeah.
Councilmember Contos, thank you. When we're preparing our next rate filing, we'll definitely approach you to ask for a letter of support for that. Because at that time, right now we're preparing ahead to look at what we want to propose for the next time, and then that would help inform that letter. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Otherwise, I want to invite, the president of Suburban Water Company, Craig, see you here. I want you to be on TV too. Okay. So Michael, you don't have to go. Okay. I have two of you. I'm president, vice president. Okay. I think people can recognize this is our, a utility company president, because this is served almost entire our city, almost 80%. Okay, will be served by the Suburban Water Company for entire our city. I paying a Suburban too. It's very expensive. Okay, so hopefully, I know when you go to the 1% to 0.3%, possible I'm going to increase our water bill. Okay, but it's that well if we go to 1% for 100 years, we're not increasing and the resident to pay due to you need to improve your pipe. So are you going to charge us?
Yes, when we make investments in the company, that affects.
So that's the reason possible the commissioner, they deny due to you're going to increase dramatically to the resident, and because from 1% to 0.3%, so that we talk about 3.5 times, 3 times, so that would be increasing for the burden for the resident. Am I right?
So they reduced our request from 1% to 1/3%, and it reduced it by pennies CCF.
I understand. Okay, so possible there's a judgment call. Should we? But as long as safety is an issue, because you have a lot of aging pipe burst all the time. Okay, and how we can increase. But you need to maybe go to commissioner and have approved by the resident about they agree about this investment for our underground for this and that. And then we can invite you come back next time for the quality of the water, the drinking water, since you provide all the drinking water and we're drinking nothing but groundwater. So we want to see how the water provided by you guys and how safe that thing. But let's think there will be next presentation. But other than that, everybody remember don't put it on my face, put it on them. Okay, so people can see, our president, vice president provide, and water service for our company. Hopefully next time we can invite the gas company and our, power Edison company, so we can recognize who serve our, utility. But we thank you so much because it's sincere for you guys. You have shown sincerity to show our city council in person. And, we happy to have you as our, partner and, try to not increasing too much. Okay. So otherwise, we're very happy with you. I don't want to pay $500 a month. But anyway, and other council have any question otherwise? Okay, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Oh, I would just say thank you, Mayor and Council, for the opportunity to speak today. As Mike mentioned, Suburban Water System has 134 employees, and we just work here in this community. We work from Glendora down to La Mirada. Our customer call center is in La Mirada and in West Covina. We're here. I'm the president of the company. I'm at the meeting today. When we have issues with customers, I'm involved. We're all involved in it. We're really proud of what we do. We've been around for 130 years, and we're going to be around as long as the city's here. So we're proud to serve the city of West Covina.
Yeah, and I remember 7 or 8 years ago, I talked to you in person, and I went to your water education, and I went to see how the drinking water coming from. And I find out one thing is we're drinking not the Colorado sweet river. We're drinking nothing but groundwaters underneath due to much cheaper to provide the water to us. But I think you talked to me that time. You said you want to bring your headquarters to West Covina. Okay, hopefully one day you can bring your headquarters to West Covina, since we serve you 80% or 90%. So hopefully you can help us with all this so-called headquarters to us. Anyway, it's just a suggestion. Okay, other than that, any other question you guys have? Okay, thank you so much. Okay, appreciate it, and I see you soon for next presentation.
Thank you.
Appreciate. Okay, and we're done with presentation, right? So we go to oral communication. Okay, comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker unless notified by the presiding officer or a city council. Request to speak on the agenda item will be heard prior to request to speak on the non-agenda item. Again, members of the public may not engage in behavior that is disruptive to the orderly conduct of the meeting, including but not limited to speaking off topic, speaking beyond the speaker's allowed time limit, making slanderous or profane remark, or using loud, threatened, or abusive language which disrupt, disturb, impede, or renders invisible the orderly conduct of the meeting. Member of the public may not threaten any person with physical harm or act a manner that may reasonably be interpreted as an imminent threat of a physical harm. When you hear your name being called, please start line up in the center row. The timer will start when your name is called. Okay, how many speakers we have?
I have 11 speakers, Mayor.
Okay, go ahead.
Jerry Patras, followed by Nick Lewis, followed by Gloria Gandora. Jerry Patras.
Good evening, Council. Tonight I'm going to comment on Agenda Item 2, changing the municipal code relating to the removal of commissioners. Changing city policy to give the supermajority the power to remove a minority council member commissioners without cause is a malicious power grab designed to reduce the voice of the minority. It goes against the First Amendment and the basic principles of representative government in our country. It is concerning that Agenda Item 2 is an issue at all. Why would anyone want to remove any commissioner without cause? This is wrong. A community is strengthened when diverse views are considered. It is my understanding that the mayor and city manager develop council meeting agendas. It's bad enough that this item is even on the agenda. Placing it on the consent calendar makes it worse. Consent calendars are, and I'm quoting from tonight's meeting agenda, where, quote, all matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and can be acted on by one roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless members of the City Council, Community Development Commission request specific items be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion or action. It was obviously written by an attorney. The fact that this item is on the consent calendar underscores the malicious nature of this effort. This action started as a Mother May I, requested by Councilman Gutierrez on February 18, 2025. It was seconded by Councilwoman Diaz and supported by the council supermajority. Councilman Cantos voted no, as a representative of the people should vote when presented with a malicious power grab. Someday, you may be in the minority, and this may affect you. Agenda Item 2 must be removed from the consent calendar and stopped from any further action. It is malicious to reduce the voice of the minority in the United States of America. Thank you.
Okay, next speaker, please.
Nick Lewis, followed by Gloria Gandora, followed by Mario Sobrevard.
Good evening, council members. I submit to you the date of January 19th, 2010, a date that probably means nothing to the vast majority of people in this room. However, this was a date when another West Covina City Council majority made a truly foolish and unforced error in passing an ordinance that took away the ability of council members to name their own commissioners. It took 5 years for this foolish error to be overridden by a subsequent council, but here we are again, suddenly 10 years later. This council has an item on the agenda, which brings me back to that day. This needlessly resulted in that council majority losing the respect of many who voted for them. Now it appears that a new council majority is on the precipice of doing it again. However, now we live in a much different world. None of you has electoral legitimacy outside of your own district, and therefore the idea that a majority of this council could relegate a separate district into the red-headed stepchild of West Covina seems even more absurd today. So the question is, why would such a proposal get support by this council at this stage without any factual nexus? All of my fellow commissioners chosen by Councilmember Cantos have this same question. We'd all like to know, will the result of your actions tonight be that you will, without cause, remove all of Councilmember Cantos's commissioners and deem anyone he chooses who does not actively support you unacceptable? Will you be installing your own commissioners in lieu of his? If that is not the majority's intention, then why is this change necessary when you already have the authority to remove a commissioner for cause? My question to those who would go along with this scheme is, what happens when your district is the odd man out? Would you go along with that state of affairs? Are the rest of you prepared to declare war on District 4 and all the residents who expect that their council member has a seat and a voice on this dais? Well, I prefer to avoid prejudging things. This is not the first bizarre procedural change that this council has introduced this year, such as limiting public comment to 3 years, which is why I'm talking so fast, and introducing prohibitions on speech that are obviously unconstitutional. Frankly, if it's the goal to make this chamber more inviting the average resident, your recent changes leave the opposite impression, particularly in light of the proposal, which appears to be nothing more than a power play. While I don't know any of you personally outside of Ollie and Letty, given my previous service with Letty on the Community Services Commission, I'm extremely confused as to why she has backed these moves and why she appears poised to back this ordinance at number 2 tonight. Having worked with her directly, I do not believe for 1 second that she believes the ends justifies the means, and I hope you don't. And I hope I'm not proven wrong tonight. As for the remainder of those not named Ali Cantos, I hope we will think for a second about what such a move will undoubtedly do to the minds of those who may have backed you for the ideas that you espoused during the last election, and juxtapose those with the ideas that are before you tonight. I hope you don't bury your head in the sand and go foolishly down the same road, but if you do, you can rest assured that you will be nothing more than a footnote in history that I cite to a decade from now when the next misguided council majority tries to do the
Thank you,
same
Nick. Okay, next speaker, please.
Gloria Gandara, Mario, and Mr. G.
Good evening, Council.
Yeah, and the microphone lower, please. Thank you.
Good evening, Council members. I am opposed to your amending Section 267, probably for the same reasons that they have given. It is apparent that you dislike hearing us because you've lowered the amount of time that we can use from 5 minutes to 3 minutes. And it's clear that you may not be getting compliance from Councilman Cantu, so what way can you do it other than removing commissioners that he appoints to commissions without cause? That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Mario, followed by Mr. G, followed by Tom Quiche.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, council members, fellow residents. My name is Mario Sobovaro. I'm here tonight because of the ordinance before us giving this council the power to remove commissioners without cause. It is a dangerous, unnecessary, and frankly hypocritical power grab. Let's start with Councilman Brian Gutierrez. He used to serve as the planning commissioner. He knows how vital these rules are, how they serve as independent voices for the community. But now that he's on this dais, he wants the power to fire any commissioner with a simple 4-1 vote. No cause, no oversight, no accountability. And here's the kicker. Councilman Gutierrez hasn't even appointed a planning commissioner himself. That seat, the very one he once occupied, is still vacant. If these positions are so important, why hasn't he filled his own? Why is his focus on removing commissioners instead of appointing them? It gets worse. His 2 appointees to the Community and Senior Services Commission didn't even show up to their first meeting on March 11th, forcing the meeting to be canceled due to lack of a quorum. And that's not uncommon. This commission frequently struggles to conduct business because too many appointments are made as political favors, not based on qualifications or commitment. We have commissioners who are eager to show up to public events, to be introduced and recognized, to wear the title like a badge of honor, but then they don't show up to the meetings where real work happens. That's not public service. That's vanity politics. And instead of fixing this broken system using the existing ordinance, which already allows commissioners to be removed after missing 3 consecutive meetings, Councilman Gutierrez wants to rewrite the rules to allow blanket removals with or without cause. Now let's talk about who he is appointing. In January, Councilman Gutierrez appointed Paul Schreifer to the Human Resources Commission. Just 5 days ago, Mr. Schreifer was quoted in a front-page LA Times article as Councilman Gutierrez's attorney, defending his role in a federal case involving a record executive convicted of violating the Kingpin Act. Schreifer publicly praised Gutierrez as an honest person with a distinguished record. And now that same attorney who represents him in a criminal-related matter sits on a city commission appointed by the very man whose reputation he just defended in the press. That's not civic engagement, that's political protection. And speaking of integrity, at the March 11th Planning Commission meeting, the Deputy City Attorney gave a Brown Act presentation. One of her slides directly contradicted a policy this council passed, the one preventing speaker cards from being submitted once public comments begin. According to the Brown Act, public participation must remain open and accessible, and this city is dangerously close to violating that principle. Councilman Gutierrez's priorities have become painfully clear. Favor your friends, protect yourself, silence anyone who dares to speak independently. West Covina deserves better. If you can't appoint commissioners who show up, if you can't fill the very seat you once held, if your response to dysfunction is to rewrite the rules and consolidate more power, then maybe you're not the one who should be writing them.
Hey, thank you so much. Next speaker, please.
Mr. G, followed by Tom Quiche, followed by Veronica.
Good evening. Got a quick question in regards to number 4. How would a citizen go about recommending a gutter or a sidewalk to be repaired? I think that's one of the things that should be brought up, whether the manager will be able to do that. That's my question, because I'd like to submit something in my area.
Okay.
And again, I do believe in free speech. And I don't think that anyone should have the right to be removed from any council without proper cause. And that's it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Next speaker, please.
Tom Quiche, followed by Veronica, followed by Robert Arnold.
Good evening. Happy Fool's Day. There's not much funny in what I'm about to say, but here we are. My name's Tom Quiche. I'm a volunteer over at your local LA County Animal Care Center, just 2 miles away, where your lost and surrendered animals end up. That said, I'm here as an individual in my own individual capacity. Unfortunately, the shelter that they're given is extremely temporary. There's 2 ways out: walking out the front door or being wheeled out the back after being euthanized because no one came for them in the short amount of time they were given. The more that come in, strays and surrenders, and the fewer that walk out, adoptions, rescues, and return to their owners, results in a greater number of them that never get a second chance. Please understand that I'm not here to discuss policies or procedures. I know you all are limited in your influence regarding the care center. What I'm here to do is pitch some ideas on how you all can make changes within this city that directly help the animals standing on concrete and behind bars. Number 1, we're hoping to get fewer dogs in. The other day, a woman came in and redeemed her dog from the shelter, and we were all shocked to hear that West Covina does not have spay-neuter laws or require residents to microchip their pets. It's 2025. According to PETA, spaying and neutering is the single most important thing we can do to save cats and dogs from all the suffering and death that overpopulation causes. Just one unaltered female dog and her offspring can produce 67,000 puppies in only 6 years. 67,000. Okay, it's PETA. Let's say they're off by a factor of 10. Factor of 100. That's still 670 puppies. That's a lot of puppies. Number 2, let's get more of them out alive. People with animals that are microchipped with info up to date very often find their pets within hours. People without pets that are chipped very often never do. It's not uncommon for a scared dog to travel 20 miles, which could be the jurisdiction of several completely different, unrelated shelter systems. The other day at a city shelter, I volunteered at a number of them. A dog was returned to the owner that was lost in San Diego, 120 miles. Okay, here's something you could do and probably green light right tonight. We're hoping you start a Pet of the Month program, just as some of your neighbors have. Not only highlighting different animals each month, but more importantly, raising awareness. Possibly it encourages the people of West Covina not only to visit the care center at 4275 North Elton Street off of Romana Boulevard, hint, hint, but to adopt or volunteer. So I heard the Reverend say, please listen to the voices with humanity and respect. Dogs have voices too. There was also a statement, how important it is to save lives. There was a statement, they can't communicate with people. And another statement, which was perfect. Help save lives. Thank you. Visit anytime. I'll show you.
Thank you so much. Okay, next speaker, please.
Veronica, followed by Robert, followed by John Shoemaker.
Hello, good evening. My name is Veronica. I just wanted to kind of echo some of the sentiments that Tom said about spaying and neutering your dog and microchipping, and it's very simple but very impactful. A collar is just not enough. Microchipping your dog is a permanent way to ensure that it always has identification. Whether it's lost or stolen, it can be scanned at any vet or any animal shelter, and it cannot be taken off the way that a collar can come off and be given a new identity if somebody finds it off the street or what may happen. It can help neighbors help each other reunite with their lost pets because accidents happen and our dogs getting out can happen to anyone. It is a one-time fee, but a purchase that lasts the dog's lifetime and can be updated as needed. Spaying and neutering has many benefits for both animals and humans. It can lessen aggression in male dogs, which can mean fewer incidents of dogs attacking other animals or humans. It reduces the need / the drive of a dog to leave their house and roam, search for another dog to mate with, and keep the pet safe. But it also anyone walking on the streets safe as well. It can help prevent the spread of zoonotic diseases, which are diseases that spread from human to animals, like rabies or Ebola. This also allows shelters to focus more on rehoming the dogs in their care already, as well as provide a longer window of opportunity to get adopted. It costs taxpayers money to care for these animals, and the more animals in their care, the more we will have to pay to keep with the demand of unwanted litters being born. A lot of the time, newborn kittens will be euthanized when brought to the shelter because there's not a way to offer what they need. So help your neighbors because we are all connected. The less litters being born, the less strays on the street, fewer dogs getting abandoned and entering the shelter system, fewer dogs being put down for no reason other than human negligence. Requiring residents to spay and neuter and microchip their pets sends the message that West Covina encourages the responsibility of pet ownership to be taken seriously. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And next speaker, please.
Robert, followed by John, followed by Christina Larios.
Hello, Council. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I've been a volunteer at the Baldwin Park Animal Shelter for nearly 10 years now, but I'm here in my own capacity. I just wanted to bring to your attention, I'm sure everybody is aware over the last year or so, all the news talking about how the city and county shelters are overwhelmed with incoming animals, and there's just not enough space. In the 10 years I've been doing this, I've never seen the euthanasia rate so high, and it's heartbreaking. There aren't enough rescues out there to rescue these animals. There aren't enough fosters out there to foster these animals. So we are all working overtime trying to get these dogs out of here, and we can't keep up with the number that are coming in. So spay and neuter programs and regulations are a must. One of the most important things to reduce the pet and animal population that's overflowing the shelters. Breeding is another issue. Most cities do not have any sort of requirements or regulations on breeding. We ask that your city and others do this and step up and create some sort of regulations to try to mitigate the overwhelming problem that there is. Deplorable breeding conditions lead to the zoonotic outbreaks. Our shelter itself has witnessed strep zoo in the last year, as well as constant upper respiratory infections. So we need to try to control the population. I won't go into the great stuff that Tom and Veronica have already spoken about. It would just be nice if cities could get together, work together, and create some sort of uniformed spay and neuter and breeding regulations and enforce those when they're not met. But at this point, that may be something, a dream for the future. Right now, we're just asking one city at a time if they could step up, be responsible, and do something about this. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Next speaker, please.
John, followed by Christina Larios, followed by Doug Ford.
Is it true that the Assistant United States Attorney did not call a pivotal witness, Brian Gutierrez, because they believe Gutierrez is a serial liar? And or is it further true he was not called to testify because there was concerns he'd be asked if he's still a paid informant for the FBI involved in another case? I must wonder if it relates to our city, as at least one person contacted the FBI, discussed one member of the council, Tony Wu. Just think about this. a fellow member of this council may well be informing on you, twisting anything you say to keep a check coming. We also know the CEO of Gutierrez's former employer was convicted of doing business with a drug cartel. Since Gutierrez knew about this for a number of years until he was fired, you have to wonder if the money he donated to our police, fire, and city was coming from drug cartels, or those who are doing business with drug cartels, or the FBI. In any case, you should demand a full accounting of the source of those funds or return the money. Oh, just to let you know, the reason I'm wearing this vest is just in case, for once in his life, Gutierrez is telling the truth about the danger. I'd recommend you do the same. And I have an extra one if somebody would like to have it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. Okay, next speaker, please.
Christina, followed by Doug, followed by JD.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, staff, and residents of West Covina. My name is Cristina Larios, and I'm here on behalf of West Covina Library. I would like to share some of our upcoming events. As I've mentioned in the past, we do have our baby story time on Thursday mornings at 10:15 a.m. And on Fridays, we have our Smarty Pants story time for children ages 2 through 5. We do have all ages programs, and coming up this Saturday is our chess tournament. This is a fun program for all ages, and this will be at 10:30 a.m. Also, I wanted to mention that our friends of the library, who does our book sale, and all the proceeds from the book sale goes directly back into the library to purchase materials and fund programs, are having a second Saturday book sale on Saturday, April 12th from 10:30 to 12:30 p.m. And a couple other programs I wanted to mention for teens. We have our Teen Advisory Board meeting tomorrow, April 2nd at 4 p.m., followed by a teen egg hunt on Wednesday, April 9th at 4 p.m. Lastly, I wanted to mention that Zumba is back for adults on Wednesday evenings, April 16th, 23rd, and 30th. So please join us at 6:30 p.m. Thank you.
Zumba is back?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'm coming.
All right.
Okay, next speaker, please.
Douglas Ford.
Hello, my name is Doug Ford, resident in District 5, business owner in District 3. I'm here to talk about two subjects tonight. The first is the health department. Since the city council has approved the project over 4 years ago at a cost of over $600,000, I believe the community and business owners are owed information regarding how the money was spent and what has been completed for the $600,000. As I have asked at the last two business meetings here, I will ask once again, how many and which businesses are going to be affected? How many employees will be required to run the health department? What will there be their own department within the city? What will be the budget for the health department? What funding source will be used for this health department? What businesses were included in the planning of this health department? And when and what are the phases going to be implemented? Since TransTech, the vendor in charge of the street sweeping signs, is also in charge of phase 2 of creating the health department, I asked the city council to ask these questions tonight while they're presenting on the street sweeping signs. They work for you. The community and businesses affected deserve to know what is being developed at a cost of $600,000. As I continue to ask for very sensible information, I greatly question the transparency of some on the city council claim to have. Second subject was my request to have the city once again take over the responsibilities of the business license fee collection. It seems to me that the city can do this task for much less than what we're giving a Northern California company, HDL. Let's keep the money in West Covina instead of sending it to Northern California. I also question if the city is incapable of collecting business licensing fees, how are we going to run a health department?
Okay, thank you. Next speaker, please.
No further speakers, Mayor.
Okay, and then city manager, you want to respond some of the speaker regarding their concern?
Yes, good evening, Mayor and council members. There's a couple speakers that came in and spoke about item number 2 regarding the amendment to section 2-67 of the West Covina Municipal Code. This was a Mother May I that was brought before that was requested at a council meeting by one of the council members. It was approved by the majority of council, and that's why it is on the agenda tonight. And a couple other items regarding the animal control contract with the county. We don't believe that the city has a mandate or requirement to spay and neuter our animals. There is a substantial fee difference trying to encourage or incentivize our residents to spay and neuter, but that's something that we can work with council if they decide to. And also, I know that Mr. Keish provided some options to help, including Pet of the Month program. So that's something that we can take into consideration. Christina, thank you very much for providing us updates on what's going on at the library. And then regarding the health department budget, and then the city taking over business license fee collection. I believe we had presentations on both the health department and a presentation by our business license consultant, HDL, as to why we have that contract with them, and that we actually, when we did do it in-house, that we have done it in-house at one point in our West Covina history, we were actually able to collect more business license fees now that we've gone with HDL. And in regards to the health department budget, like I said, we did do a presentation on that as well, where that money's spent, and I believe there's been a request that will be brought back regarding a detailed review of the health department budget at a later council meeting. So I hope that satisfies my response to those questions.
Okay, any city council have any question? Otherwise, I want to, okay, Council Member Gutierrez?
Yeah, if the city manager could explain why we went to 3 minutes and talk about the other cities that also have 3 minutes throughout the San Gabriel Valley.
Oh, yes. So when we did the presentation about helping make our city council meetings more efficient, I did do a survey of surrounding cities and what their public comment timeframes were. The majority of them were 3 minutes, and that's why we went from our previous timeframe to the 3 minutes to be consistent with neighboring communities.
Okay, other question?
That's it.
Okay, I want to go through about the animal love thing, and I own dogs, okay, and I have an old chip, okay, when they're puppy, and I neuter them too, so I want to make sure they have proper care. And I think, okay, and I know last time we asked about, can we have a county animal control, can they do, okay, canvassing, but they don't. So if they don't, okay, if they don't do canvassing, maybe our public, okay, safety department, okay, and, okay, can maybe helping out, okay, to do the promotion regarding animal education, okay, what the proper way to do it, and then we maybe even do the canvassing, okay, and make sure our residents understand, okay, they have to do, if they want to have a dog, cat, but they need to have a proper care, so we don't flood it, okay, with animal into, okay, and shelter and be killed, okay. I think this is not what we want to see. Okay, we want the dog be our companion. They are alive too, so we have to find a way. So maybe we can, okay, into the future, okay, near future, quickly we can basically, and then to set up some kind of, see that possible, our, okay, public safety department can handle this task. But anyway, city manager, do you agree?
Yes, we can look into that, of course.
Okay, look into that thing.
Yeah.
Other city council have any other issue?
We did include it, if I could add, in the Discover when we switched back to the county. We do include in Discover to give residents updates. We have posted on social media, so we can continue to do that more periodically as well.
And as I remember, before the pandemic, okay, we are same, okay, county, okay, animal control. They knock on my door. They ask him for the tag and the rabies shot and any proper document, and I have to provide all the information to them. So that time they did the canvassing.
I've just been informed that the county, I guess, is looking to bring back canvassing, and we have already requested that with the county.
I think it's important to do canvassing, and then at the same time to make sure, education, and we have some kind of event to help the resident if they want, pet, but they responsible for pet well-being, so they don't abandon them or they need to chip them, like most of people do. So any other city council, otherwise I want to move on? Nope. And Councilman Cantor, you okay?
Yes.
So we move to consent calendar. And any people want to pull any other item?
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Item.
I'm sorry. My bad. Manager report. I jumped the gun. Sorry.
It's okay.
I want to kind of give you a less job to do. Manager report, please.
Okay. Ready? So one of the big initiatives that we are taking on this year is the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. We are excited to announce that we have 3 community workshop meetings that will be coming up. We will have the first one at Cameron Park Tuesday, April 29th from 6 to 8 p.m. The second one, May 18th on a Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. at Cortez Park. And then the last workshop, Monday, July 7th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the West Covina Sportsplex. We are welcoming the community to join the conversation and give their input. These meetings will be interactive, engaging, and will be led by the RJM design group that's leading this project along with city staff. The community workshop dates, as I mentioned, are the 3 dates, and we hope that we can get community input and involvement, so we hope to see everyone there. The next one is just a recap. We had our spring festival over the weekend. We had a whole bunch of entertainment and vendors. And we had an entertainment and carnival. So we wanted to thank the community for participating and also wanted to thank our staff, all of the departments that help make these special events possible, from community services, public safety, police and fire, and our public works staff that make it happen, and to our residents that help make these events so special by participating and attending. Next, we are also very excited to over the spring festival, we provided some residents with some magnets. So if you want to know upcoming events, you can get a magnet from us, and you'll have all of the upcoming events for the rest of the year. So it's coming up with the Easter egg extravaganza, Arbor Day in April, and so on. So if you haven't already gotten your magnet, please follow up with a staff member, and we'll have them available. Next, just wanted to provide an update on the windstorm emergency that we had. We've been working with FEMA to submit for the reimbursement request for all of the damages that the city of West Covina incurred because of the windstorm. And so we are actively working with them. We had a meeting with them March 27th last week, and we'll be coordinating another meeting with them this week to follow up on that reimbursement request. A couple updates on some CIP projects. A couple items on the agenda tonight for the notice of completions is for the senior center roof and HVAC replacement project that was at the senior center roof replacement, and also the sidewalk curb and gutter project that was completed at the end of February. The concrete replacement, this project, which is depicted on the left-hand side, included repairs, curbs, and gutters to sidewalks and driveway approaches at 31 locations within the city of West Covina. It addressed cracks uplifted and settling reported by residents and the Public Works Department. The Senior Center re-roof and HVAC replacement, replaced 13 HVAC units across both the Senior Center buildings, retrofitted the northern building's roof, replaced the southern building's roof, and these upgrades prevented leaks and reduced maintenance costs and enhanced service for our senior community. We also coordinated with the contractor to minimize disruptions to the Senior Center operations throughout the duration of the project. So both of them are on the agenda tonight for the notice of completions. Last is the upcoming Easter extravaganza, which is April 12th. And we have, I believe it's 2 locations. Let me pull that up. Sorry.
Dianoti Park and Cortez Park.
Yes, and then it's from 9 to noon, rain or shine. So we're looking forward to seeing everyone at the those 2 events, both on Saturday the 12th and then Earth and Arbor Day, April 26th. And that concludes my city manager's report.
Thank you so much. And Council, any question?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Ahead. Okay, Councilman Oli Kento.
Thank you. Madam City Manager, can you describe in further detail the specific efforts that are being done to notify residents around all of the 16 parks, including those who live in the immediate vicinity, as well as all of the schools and school district personnel and parent-teacher associations and nonprofit organizations?
We're working to notify everyone and anyone that we can. We are sending emails to the school districts, our sports league group, our nonprofit groups as well, to get the word out that these community meetings are coming, and we hope to get all of their input. We're also going to be, a website will be going up by the end of the week, if not early next week, specifically to provide information regarding the park master plan.
And to what extent are there efforts to leverage social media through Facebook boost posts, as well as Instagram and other social media platforms, including through paid efforts, to make sure that all geographically targeted residents from throughout West Covina are informed of the opportunity to submit and to provide input at any of the 3 named meetings for the Park Master Plan?
We could definitely look at, we will be posting it on our social media handles. We can look at boosting those posts.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Councilman Kento. Any other council? Go ahead, the council member Gutierrez.
Yeah, I'll just say make sure you're contacting the schools,
yes,
calling them, emailing them. Just don't overspend on marketing on Facebook, though. Without us being aware. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. And if not, I want to just add quickly, I want to piggyback, and I want 100% support Councilman Kentos regarding we need to notify all the school and nonprofit and organization, okay, even including the seniors, complex. Today, everybody can participate and how to make our master plan much more rounded. Everybody pitching about their idea and including our future, all the event. I think we should do the same thing, notification, notify all the agency, nonprofit, profit, or anybody, that they know we have that event. So we want people to show up. And for example, with, and the park master plan, we want people to participate and input about what they like, they want, so we can put it together, and it's from the people. And if all okay, I want to move to what our Councilman Oli Kento just get interrupted by me. Now continue. Okay, you want to put number 2, right?
Yes.
Okay, and other than that, anybody put anything else? Nope. Okay, so do I have a motion to approve 1, 3, 4, 5, 6?
I move the motion.
Do I have a second?
Wait, I have a question. I thought the city managers, you're putting in item 2, right? You're taking it off?
You're taking out which one?
6.
All right, I'm going to pull item number 6 with West Coast Arborist staff report.
Number 6 has been removed. For the future, you have to prepare for more detail. So it will be 1 to 5 except 2. And do I have a motion to approve?
The motion.
Okay, and Mayor Pro Tem move. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and roll call, please.
I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Viado with a second by Councilmember Gutierrez to approve consent calendar items 1 through 5 with the exception of number 2, which is pulled by Councilman Contos, and number 6, which was pulled by City Manager. Councilman Contos?
Aye.
Councilwoman Diaz is absent this evening. Councilmember Gutierrez.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Lopez Viado.
Aye.
Mayor Wu.
I motion to approve. Okay, 4-0. Okay, and then we go to the item number 2. Go ahead. Okay, Councilman. You have a question?
I just have a clarification thing. But before we get to item 2.
Yeah, go.
Okay. No, I just wanted to, for public clarification, the city manager is pulling the West Coast Arborist because it failed to disclose the specific reasons why the money was being allocated. So therefore, she will be bringing it back with a more detailed analysis so the public could have information on what that money is going to be used for or what bills we actually owe them. So thank you.
Okay, thank you for clarifying why it's pool. Okay, go ahead, continue. And item number 2, please. Councilman Kentos.
Thank you so much. Is there staff presentation relating to this item?
I could provide a brief presentation.
Go ahead.
So this was a Mother May I request that was made at a council meeting. It was approved by the majority of the city council members, and before you tonight is for your consideration making the change from what it is currently, where it requires removal of a commissioner for with the majority. 4 council members and with good cause. This change would go from removing the good cause and just requiring for the approval or 4 council members to remove a commissioner.
Thank you. I'd like to ask, since Councilmember Gutierrez was the one who had this item, what is the rationale for making this proposal, please?
Go ahead.
Yes. Well, first of all and foremost, there was a lot of misinformation being provided earlier today about that somehow I'm out to get you, which is untrue of, and you should know that. This is the reason why I brought this forward was to ensure accountability. Just like us, we're elected by the people, we're voted on by the people, and at the same time, what I'm saying is you take away the for cause or without cause, I don't think it makes a big difference. I think it's about accountability. And for far too long, there's been no accountability. And so this is an initiative to ensure more accountability, more oversight in fulfilling our duties as members of the city council elected by the people.
Can you provide clarification regarding instances in which there's lack of accountability that this proposal is intended to address?
I don't think we're going to go back and forth here, but what I can say is, what was your question again?
I'd like to ask about, you mentioned accountability. So my question is to you, what are the instances of absence of accountability that this proposal is intended to address?
Well, let me make clear here. If you're going to remove someone for cause, it's brought to the city council to vote on. If you're going to remove someone, what is being proposed right now, if you're going to remove someone without cause, this council will still have to vote on it. When you appoint someone, 3 members of the city council have to vote to approve it. So we are not, this is not a intent to eliminate some sort of misleading information about this is an agenda, a propaganda agenda item. This is an accountability measure that would ensure that there's oversight of commissioners being appointed to these commissions. And I could tell you right now, none of your commissioners, there was nothing relating to you or any of your commissioners, and that's misinformation being brought out to the community. I have no issues with any of your commissioners, nor was this item intended to target your commissioners. This is a item that, in carrying out my agenda, in ensuring accountability, and just as I have within the 100 days of taking office, this is another way that the council has accountability. And to make it very clear, regardless if it's for cause or without cause, it will always have to come to public notice. Public notice will always have to happen and the public will always have the opportunity to speak on this. So just like if you're going to remove the mayor, the public had the opportunity to come speak on that item. And so it's very important to emphasize that the community, the public is the voice of this council. And so if for a reason someone was going to be removed without cause, well, they'll have the opportunity to present their case in front of the public, and the public will have the opportunity to speak on the item. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and please, okay, and let's go to Mayor Proten. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. So for those who want to know where I stand, about 15 years ago, just to let everybody know, this whole council has gone through changes back and forth in the past few years. 15 years ago, when I wanted to be a commissioner, I did not know anybody. I wasn't in it for political reasons. And back then, in order to be a commission, you had to apply and you had to get majority of the council's votes. So I stood at that podium giving my background, my resume, all this, and I had to get majority of the council's vote. And then a few years later, the council changed the rules again and then said, no, each council is going to get appointed. So nobody knew me, as you know, I just was focused on my job doing the work as a commission. And of course, you know, council picked whoever they wanted to pick. They didn't give me an opportunity. One council member did. I was interviewed, had to meet, go over my resume, why I should stay and keep my position as a commissioner. At that time, there were good commissioners that did leave, unfortunately. So that is one. And then when I was a commission, one commissioner went rogue, did a bunch of things, it was just went a little crazy. And so we were in the commission, the council again changed certain rules, what the commission can and can't do. And I was the commission, I'm like, oh, we can't do this, so we can't do this. So I've gone through that whole process on both ends. You know, the commission advises the city council and they represent the council as a whole. And so, you know, in regards to this with the votes, I didn't want, obviously I wouldn't agree if it was 3 votes to kick someone out. No, I want majority of the 4, because we have seen that, like I know Councilman Gutierrez said, okay, like getting rid of the mayor. I mean, 3 would have been super easy, right? But, you know, you needed 4 to make that happen. For those that know me, they know I am pretty reasonable on reasons on why I let people go. But I just wanted to also let the community know it doesn't change the council of appointing whoever they want to appoint. There are sometimes we disagree of who they appointed, but they have that ability to appoint whoever they want to appoint. Now, with or without cause, we've had 2 situations in the past, and it wasn't publicly known. It was an internal that was discussed where one council, their commissioner got out of hand. So these were reasons personally. What they did as a commissioner, no problem. What they did personally in their personal lives actually affected the city as a whole. So there was one commissioner, I mean, he was like harassing, you know, internal staff, and he was a harasser, but great at what he does as a commissioner. That, you know, there were staff who wanted to like sue. And so we're like, this is bad. And, you know, as majority of the council spoke to the council. And if the council is unreasonable and just say, no, I want this person, but this can affect us, that hurts us. So that, unfortunately, we went through and there was other incidents, and it's like, can't you see now this commissioner is going to hurt us? Finally, they said, okay, they got rid of that commission. And then we had another situation. We had another commissioner that later on was found guilty of a crime. And so, again, what they did as a commission had no problem. What they did personally in their personal situation affect the city. And that was kind of like the similar situation where, you know, majority. So it already kind of occurred where they're trying to create reasons with the council as a whole, to mention that. So that goes in line to like with or without reason. But again, in regards to voting for 4, it's going to come up here. And for some commission, we want to save face. We don't want to, you know, publicly shame for whatever personal things that they're doing. So it is embarrassing to put him up here if the council doesn't want to remove them for whatever reason. But right now, the council can. And so in this way, I'm just letting people know where I stand, and I do support this. It has been done in the past.
Okay, and I want to pitch in too, since I'm the person last month may I agreed, and I want to say this, Nick, nobody, talk to you. Just want to tell you, this is not about, you guys work together, maybe you have a difference, and we want to talk to you. It's not at all, I would tell you, I won't agree if this is the reason where we want to, I can assure you, it's such a difficulty to have people to serve of a community, to serve, to planning, to serve the community service, and it's so difficult to, like you willing to serve. We want to, thank you, because it's a tough job, you have to facing a lot of things. But again, I will assure you this is not will be, otherwise I would disagree, so because, you clearly will see, after we approve, then we will appoint you, and no, we want you to continue as long as, and Councilman Ollie happy with your service, you should be there, because we're not going to override about the thing. And by the way, you're not appointed by Ollie, you're appointed by Dario Cassiano. So I think you remember. So I think you got a good friend, and then you like to be a planning commissioner, and we need planning commissioner. But again, I think this is something, cause or no cause, is hard to prove, but to get 4 votes together is almost very difficult. Remember last time we want to skip the mayor thing. It's not going to happen. It's not. It's very, very difficult. And plus, and you will have a resident coming out to say this and why. If people doing a great job. But they still have some people. I remember during my 10 years of city council, some people is doing. I think you know it. Harasser, and this is pretty bad. So and people don't show up, but we is that cause or no cause? And how we remove the person, and so we can have some people to go in. But the more important thing is, can we encourage more people to serve? Willing to serve, and to community service, to HR, and then, and to planning, because this is pay very little, but you have to spend time to do the research and try to, with your conscience, you want to do a good thing for the city. No matter agree or disagree, they always have a different and angle to see things, but we just try to do the best for the city with a different opinion. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So in regards to the commission as a whole, the commission just needs to be reminded of what their scope of work and function is. Sometimes we have commissioners that just go AWOL, or they just think that they're councilmen, or they go and step in the other boundaries of other commissions where, what commission they're serving, they need to focus and actually serve. I've had, when I was a commissioner, we had one there was history of, again, when a council appoints certain people, there's reasons behind it. Sometimes they just appoint and it has no reference of that work at all. I remember as a commission, when council appointed one, we found out reasons behind it. Why? This one is community service. Focus on community service. They wanted to bring a safe house, which is where they use all these needles and all that stuff, and we went through this and we're like, what? But granted, of course, we understand why of the history of the council that was appointed to that. But that being said, we want the commissions to focus on what they're supposed to do. In regards to commission, yes, I have served with you, and I was happy to serve with Nick. If it does come out, so the rumors of coming out and saying, "Oh, we're gonna get rid of all Councilman Canto's commission," no. I personally don't have a reason to. I don't even know. So again, if it's 4, that definitely is a safe house. It's not an issue, but those things will come up. I just wanted to say that's it.
Okay, Councilman Canto?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate the exchange of ideas, but let me make this clear. This is not about Commissioner Lewis. It's not about any individual commissioner. The requirement that we have in place now to have commissioners removed for cause is a safeguard against against politicization. It also enables each of us to preserve our independence with our exercising our right as elected officials for us to appoint who we believe to be best to serve in the various slots that we have available to us. The things that the Mayor Pro Tem has discussed with regard to individual conduct, even if they are not doing a bad job on the commission, but they have issues of moral turpitude, that would be defined, that it would be under cause. And that would be good reason to remove the person, whether the individual council member decides to remove the person or if the council as a whole decides to remove them, that is for cause. If the person is not doing their job, that's for cause. If they fail to attend 3 meetings, that is for cause. Removing the for cause requirement is a slippery slope, and I implore my colleagues not to do this. I'm literally going to consider this an act of aggression against me if you were to do this, because this is beyond me personally. This is about preserving our own independent ability to appoint who we wish, and after it is confirmed by the council of a vote of 3, if they are on there, then our judgment should be respected. Because what could potentially happen is if there are 4 individuals for without cause, they just don't like the person, conceivably those 4 members of the council can then go against the appointee of the 5th council member. That will just create more of a circus and greater politicization. We need to turn this back now. I'm telling you, this is the sort of thing that is angering me to the point where I'm just telling you, this is not going to be acceptable by our community. I have tried to tell you, so I'm urging you to vote this down.
Please, let's discuss this. I know you kind of upset, but please, let's discuss this. So you feel like the cause is, the first thing, the cause, how you prove the cause. Why it's cause, how you prove it. Because people say, hey, because I have family issue, so I didn't show up. So you prefer what? 3?
I prefer that.
No, hold on. Oh, sorry. Let me finish. That's okay. Okay. So you prefer 3 city council with cause, or 4 city council without cause or cause? Okay. No. I'm just asking you. Are you okay with cause? Okay, but 3 council majority to do it. Okay, and is that okay with you? Okay.
I'd like to keep it as the current status quo, which has been working. I don't want to touch this at all. It's already.
So anyway, because my point is cause or no cause is the kind of how you prove so-called cause, because people don't show up. Only we change the rule. It's 3 times you don't show up, you get terminate, and somebody we need to change that. But otherwise, we don't have a cause right now. And the don't show up. Is person currently is now on our guideline, and the thing. So what do you mean? The definition of cause, what cause there will be, is very vague. Well, people yelling, during the meeting, is that the cause or another cause? They can debating. So there's a very and fine line on how to prove what its cause mean. And so that is the why possible. Based on my understanding, that is what. And that's why I can agree with the supermajority. It's not easy to have 4 people to agree upon. And so in that way, possible. The cause is how you prove that. Go ahead. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. And I wanted to give another example, because the definition of good cause varies in its interpretation. We had a commissioner, we loved him. He was amazing. There was one council that was and there was a potential lawsuit that was occurring, and one said it's a good cause to remove him because of that potential. And so majority of them, including the person who appointed that person, said no. But the good cause, my point was, we've had these meetings, because in closed session it was discussed. So we've had commissioners on both ends where somebody wanted them removed and they didn't. We kept one, and one commissioner that we love, but I know he moved, so he had to leave. So what I'm saying is it's been done. Like, we've done this 3 times since I've been here. And it's just putting it there in regards to, it's just the definition of good cause varies.
Okay, and you done? Okay, and Council Member Gutierrez.
Yeah, and I think some of the concerns I've heard from my residents is lawsuits and the money that our city has to pay out in lawsuits. And so when you eliminate for cause or without cause, you actually minimize the city's liability to a potential lawsuit if a commissioner is removed if they're removed without cause, because it's all about the vote on this chamber. So they could be removed they could be removed technically without cause. But the city could say, oh, they were removed for cause. And so then it creates a liability issue where we're paying out people with the taxpayers' money of West Covina to pay off these people to go away. And that's something that I will no longer stand for as a newly elected member for District 1. And so, again, this is an accountability measure. And I think my colleagues would agree that this is accountability.
And Councilman Kento, you want to add?
Mr. Mayor, could we call upon the city attorney to give the general definition of what for cause means to help clarify?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, when we remove cause or with or without cause, and when you define cause as in it is existing right now, it shows the definition. You can define cause as what you want it to be. And in your attachment number 2, there's a red line version that has a number of reasons of defining what cause is. So there is no one definition of cause. And this just removes it, and it's just 4 votes now, with without cause.
Yeah, anything you want to add, Councilman?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
In addition to what I've stated already, this is going to create be a slap in the face for residents, because it then creates the possibility of greater politicization, and it is something that we will not stand idly by. And for the longest time, I have tried to be supportive of every member of this council on many things, including behind the scenes. This is something that is core, that to me, if this goes through, I just really will be very sorry about that, because we as residents need to recognize there need to be safeguards. And when you have the reason there for cause, it preserves the ability for the council still to hold accountable the individuals who are appointed to different commissions, but yet with the safeguard of having a for cause requirement. And as already literally defined there, it is specific enough so that we can leave it intact, and that will allow the council to continue to have an ability individually to appoint members, and then once confirmed, then for individual council members to continue to support any council member.
You said it a couple of times. We understand. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, Mayor Proten.
So currently, as it stands, a commissioner should be removed. There's a good cause to remove. But if a council does not want to remove them, what occurs? And there's good cause and good reasons to remove that.
Well, then if there obviously are good reasons to remove them, the council should remove them because there's cause.
But then that goes back to this. I mean, it's going back to voting for the vote. And then so it goes to, if you do 3, if you go with 3
is too easy.
Too easy. There's people who are going to be like, well, leave that commissioner there, no matter how bad it is, no matter the cause. You know, it's a good cause, but majority wants that commission, because it has happened. We've had commissioners on stay as a commission where everybody was like, that person needs to go. Everybody agreed, but that council was like, nope, I'm going to keep that person. I don't care how rude, obnoxious, or anything, or harassing, whatever it may be.
Okay, got it. Okay, I think Councilman Kento has impression that this is a target to him or his commissioner. I just want to say, I hope you understand. I know you're still thinking about that, but the issue is, okay, speaking true, I don't even know why we need to, discuss this. This is not really, the issue is, how you define cause, what caused is the cause. What, I just mentioned is that fighting is the cause, or, the different ideas is the cause, or, harassment is the cause, or threatening is the cause, or didn't show up is the cause, It's so difficult to define, and the 3 person can revoke the commissioner. Now it's a 4 person, and cause or no cause, but in that way, it's no liability to say we have to present a cause. But the thing is, unless that commissioner is really create potentially issue, why we want to remove the commissioner? We need people to serve anyway. So I hope you understand it didn't target to anybody, and for the worry about the person, you shouldn't worry at all, as long as he continue to serve, with his conscience to do a good deed, no matter agree or disagree, he's serving the community and appointed by Dario or you, and that is legit, and he should be there, But anyway, other than that, Council Member Gutierrez, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to echo what Councilwoman Lopez Villado said and Mayor Wu said, is that I as well have no issues with Commissioner Lewis. I have no intention of making any act to remove him. I don't see a reason why I will want to do that. I think you're a good person, and I hope that you continue to serve in that capacity, representing the residents of West Covina on that planning commission. So,
Mr. Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Can I just make another reverse role? I, as a council, appointed a commissioner a few years ago, and I got an earful, like some residents sending me emails, you got to get rid of that commissioner, and commissioners, blah, 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 just sending me a bunch of things. I kept that commissioner. Now, if the residents, because it still gives the power of the residents can definitely go and talk to each of their council member district, and if they felt that passionate and that, that passionate to do that, then the residents can go to their each council members and at that time make that happen. But I'm giving examples of both roles I've had. So I've had residents tell me get rid of a commissioner. I've had residents. So I've seen all the examples on all ends. So I just wanted to just bring that out as well, that the people still have the power.
Thank you so much. And Councilman Kento?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, to clarify again, this is not about Commissioner Lewis or any of my commissioners. This is the broader precedent of making sure to preserve council independence with each of us having the judgment of picking. So I just want to make sure to clarify that.
Very good. You're very clear. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consideration of introduction of ordinance amending section 2-67 of the West Covina Municipal Code relating to the removal of commissioners.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, and a roll call, please.
I have a motion by Councilmember Gutierrez and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Lopez Villado for agenda item number 2. Councilman Contos?
No.
Councilmember Gutierrez?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Lopez Villado?
Aye.
Mayor Wu?
Aye. Motion approved 3-1. Let's go to the presentation. And the presentation, there will be the item number 7, street sweeping signage installation update. Who is going to present this?
I'm going to have Robert Ortega, our CIP project manager, provide a presentation on the street sweeping signage installation.
Go ahead, please.
We also have Transtech team here to help answer questions, as well as our public safety director, Mylan.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council. Today I'll be giving a presentation on the street sweeping signage project. So a little background on this project. The city held community meetings on June 12th, June 17th, and June 26th, and October 19th to gather resident feedback on proposed changes to current street sweeping program. On December 5th, 2023, the City Council of West Covina approved a citywide weekly street sweeping program, and staff prepared maps and counts on where signage should be installed based on feedback from Nationwide Environmental Services, NES. Information from this field review was used to prepare the project notice inviting bids. On October 15, 2024, City Council awarded the project to Square Signs LLC, as well as approved staff to order signage and mounting equipment. On February 19, 2025, the installation was commenced. Slide 2. So staff collaborated with Nationwide to determine ideal street sign locations. Engineering staff assessed each street, reviewing installation guidelines, materials, and placement options on new poles, existing signs, or street lights. ADA guidelines were also considered to ensure proper clearance. After field reviews, the engineering staff created a Google Earth map for sign placements, which we use various agency standards in addition to Caltrans standards. And based on this review, the staff ordered 2 sizes of parking signs, larger ones at the block community entrances and smaller ones at mid block. Along with poles, anchors, and mounted equipment, poles were selected to ensure at least 7 feet of safety clearance. So this slide shows the total number of signs ordered for Monday through Thursday timeframes. Friday has fewer signs as they only placed at community entrances rather than every street. And as you can see, we ordered a total of 1,548 large signs and 3,647 smaller signs, making it a total of 5,191. The schedule's based on sweeping days, times from the GIS page, which the GIS page was shown here on the left, and the project's base timeline shown on the right. Weather delays have impacted the timeline, and schedule may change accordingly. So engineering staff inspects and installs signs daily based on contractor reports and by driving the city daily. They also ensure signs are straight, properly positioned, not blocking windows or driveways, and meet project specifications. So when we address the residents' concern, engineering staff assesses the sign placement and determines if it can be relocated based on guidelines. If the relocation isn't possible, residents are informed of the reasoning. Additionally, these signs are placed in our right-of-way, which ranges anywhere between 7 feet to 12 feet from back of curb to the property. So that concludes my presentation. So I also have Translate here, who's available to answer any questions. And
okay, Council, any question? Who wants started? Okay, Mayor Pro Tem, go first.
Thank you. So as these signs have been being installed, I received quite an amount of emails from residents regarding the sign installation, the street sweeping situation, depending on their area that they're where they reside. So I know I forwarded it to the city manager. Hope you were able to forward that, and are they able to address those concerns?
If I can respond to that. So some of the concerns that we've had is the actual schedule of the street sweeping days, and that has already, we received direction from council, and that's the schedule that we're implementing. It is very common standard practice with other cities to do street sweeping, same for both sides of the street. We did accommodate for areas that have higher density residential areas, and so that in those areas we did alternating days on either side of the street. If we were to do that citywide, there would be an additional cost to implement alternate sides of the street citywide. That was one concern. I know we've also had concerns about the actual placement and the location of signs, and that's something that we have had staff try to accommodate as best as we can. There are certain requirements that we have to meet in order to where the locations, the signs have to be located in order to be able to enforce the parking enforcement in those areas.
So, in regards to, I know you mentioned that you cover the high density areas, but in areas where, of course, they don't have sidewalks. I'm not sure if they even have drive their driveways and stuff. Are those also taken into consideration if that area of the neighborhood doesn't have that leeway and to be able to move their car or have an alternative to move their vehicle so that they're not ticketed or being affected by that?
I believe that we did focus just on the higher density areas and not on areas without sidewalks.
Not just the sidewalks, but like driveways, if they don't have driveways or just any of that.
We didn't. I can double check, but I do not believe we took that in consideration.
If there are neighborhoods that have that situation, I know based on the emails that I have sent, if you can have a Transtech look at those neighborhoods and look at the areas to make sure, that is feasible to get their vehicles moved. Because I understand those streets might be same, no parking on both sides. So they need to be able to maneuver their vehicle. So please look into that.
Yeah, okay. I want to add on this, okay, before I go to next council, okay. And I think during the hearing last time, and I think it's a year or more than a year ago, okay, they request is 6 hours, okay. And I remember, okay, we say no because it's so much inconvenient for people, especially high density neighborhood and the way they park cars. So we cut down to 4 hours. So we just want them to move the car 4 hours so we can clean the street, okay, and they can park the car back. So, but because if we don't clean the street, we in trouble because the street is really filthy because the car never move over there or they never been cleaned. So hopefully the couple hours we can have them to move. And I agree. And maybe, okay, the cross street, is there any possible, okay, and the nationwide to see they can do a little bit different time. So to convenient for people can kind of move the car, okay, so we can clean the street, okay, because right now I receive a lot of people, they feel like they're happy with they see the weekly street sweeping after trash day, okay, before we barely see them, but now finally we can catch the sweeper, okay, and next city council want to speak, okay, council member Gutierrez.
Yes, I have 100 questions. The first question I have is who determined who determined when these streets were both getting street sweeping, both sides the same side, or both areas were being blocked off at the same time? Was that something that Nationwide did with staff determined, or?
The final map for the street sweeping schedule, including the alternate side streets, was something that we worked with not only Nationwide with our public works staff and with Transtech to look at areas that we needed to identify as the higher density and try to help address areas that we had received concerns about.
And was there a reason why not all streets were at alternate times?
Yes, I believe we brought that up at that council meeting when we talked about the street sweeping schedule, that if we went to citywide alternate days, it would significantly increase the cost of the contract.
Okay, so we did this for Nationwide, in other words. Okay, my second question is, I have a question for Mylan. Hi. Has public safety started following the street sweepers to give the public notices about how the process is going to start and so forth?
We have not started issuing notices.
Okay. Do you know when that would happen?
Yes. So the plan was we were going to wait until the signs were all installed, all the old signs were removed before we started our warning notice campaign. Right now we have some areas where new signs have been installed that may say no parking 7 to 11, but at the same time next to that sign is another sign that says no parking from 10 to 2. So while there's one crew going through installing the new signs, there's a crew coming around and removing the old signs. So once Public Works and Engineering signs off on an area that's been completed, then we can look at start issuing our warning notices. But right now they're in the troubleshooting phase of making sure all signs are properly posted, all streets are equally posted, and before we start any warning campaigns. We don't want to confuse the residents, because once we start the warning campaign, the expectation is that we'd start issuing citations roughly 30 days after that time frame. So once we start the warning notices, that will start the time clock of when our enforcement activities will actually begin.
Okay. And do you have enough employees right now to do that?
Currently, I have enough employees to start the program. We're in the process of onboarding some additional staff for the purpose of street sweeping component itself. And those will be onboarded by the end of April, the first part of May, which will correspond with hopefully the completion of certain areas, and then we'll roll out the warning notices.
So the reason I ask this is not because I want to cite the people, but even better, I want to make sure there's accountability on the contract. So if my colleagues don't disagree, I would like for public safety to start following that street sweeper to ensure accountability. We're paying hundreds and thousands of dollars to this street sweeper, and I've been told that this street sweeper comes late, even on the new posted areas, and that the ground is not being cleaned right in some areas. And so I think it's it's very important that if we have enough public safety officials, that we put them behind the street sweeper to start assuring accountability.
Councilman Gutierrez and members of the council, we can facilitate that.
Great, thank you. And that's all my questions for you.
Thank you.
And then
to let other council have a chance.
One more question.
Okay.
No, for you, for Paulina. Let's see. Who determined the site of Australia? So I think it's very important, Paulina, that you work with TransTech and our city staff to figure out this issue. There's some of these streets have driveways where they cannot fit multiple cars. And what's making it worse is that you have these streets that have the same time period. People are moving those cars, and then guess what? The street sweeper is nowhere to be found until an hour after that posting. And that's putting a burden on these people who have to move their car. They don't know if they're going to get a ticket or not. And so we need to take this into consideration and act in the interest of the people. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay, so I think it's more like a comment. Okay, so is that a question?
It's a comment. It's a statement on behalf of the residents of District 1.
So we don't want to inconvenience, based on that, don't want to inconvenience the people. Hopefully they precise the time they want to come during that 4 hours. Okay, and our scientists should be there, and our public safety should be follow through, see how's the quality doing. And it's a big, agenda to implement, so they will have some hiccup. We understand. So we try to kind of work in progress to improve, and make sure our street is clean. Okay, and Councilman Kentos, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In light of this question for the city manager, in light of your having described that if we were to change certain situations where the parking situations now where there's no parking on both sides, but if we were to remedy that, that would cost more. Would there be a way to look at areas that are still relatively clean, and then to redirect that time away from there in order to accommodate those small areas where there is parking on both sides. In other words, just sort of reallocating, because the whole city is not equally dirty. It depends on the areas. If there are more residential areas with low traffic, that's a different level of cleanliness that's required than areas that have high density. So within the confines of the overall street sweeping, could that be a way to help remedy the situations that were described here and asked about, in which there's no parking on both sides, which causes residents a significant difficulty?
Did you?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. I think if one of the concerns right now already is the timing and the schedule, and right now I just wanted to clarify, we're in a transition period. We're going from bi-monthly to weekly, and there's going to be some fine-tuning. Yes, thank you, Mayor Wu. But in addition, right now, because there's a transition of the signage that's out in the community, as Mylan mentioned, our public safety director, the street sweeping and the signs are not going to align right now. They're not going to be aligned because we're transitioning from one system to the other. So once we have all the signage up, that's when we're going to be able to implement this new weekly street sweeping with the specific timeframes on the signage. If now you're looking at changing it based on the dirtiness level of one street compared to the cleanliness of another, I think that would even further complicate the schedule for the routes. So I would have to talk to all the vendor and see how would we accommodate that. And I think that would further complicate, I think, the scheduling.
Oh, I see.
I have a suggestion. Okay, and some of the street, for example, Coda said, okay, the sweeper coming in, they go through it, so they have both sides, but they need to do it one time because this is within the 4 hours, and the sweeper coming in, go to Coda said, and coming out and clean the street. And rather than you have a big street and you have both sides, okay, okay, go back to as nationwide to see, can it possible, Robert, say that possible with that big street, and you just with one side, 4 hours should be even long enough, okay, for finished within the time limit, then the car can come back, and another opposite side, the long street can be maybe in the afternoon or something, so people can have a different time. So they can move the car across street. So this is a suggestion for you to go back to talk nationwide, not increasing the charge, but it's just, okay, we arrange, okay, the big street, and then I think there's people concerned. Okay, am I right? Yeah, go ahead. Mayor Protem?
Thank you. Quick question. The street sweeping that is occurring on both sides, is it right back to back, or is there a gap? Like, so if residents, like, say they want to take their lunch between, do we have a gap for them, that wiggle room, or is it, 9 to 12, and then the other side 12 to,
I think that it's concerned it's the same time.
If we can pull up the map, Robert, the GIS map for the street.
So they have no place to park.
I think that and I believe maybe Mylan can talk a little bit more about this, but there is a route that the street sweeper goes by. And so sometimes they have to go back and empty out the sweeper if it gets too much debris. And so that may delay them or change the route, the timing from one side of the street to the other. Those individuals also get breaks and lunch breaks. And so that also impacts what time they go on their route.
Yeah, but it's the time that is posted that the residents,
correct.
That's what they're going to be cited.
They have to be there.
Correct. So once all the signage is up, we will then be adhering to those timeframes that are being posted.
That makes sense.
Okay, and Council Member Gutierrez?
Yeah. So is Nationwide going on? So before there was no sign. So Nationwide is still driving whenever they want to clean our streets, or you have new signs out there. So you kind of have to. I think Mayor Wu used this as an example for a different topic, but it's like, what happens if it's at your house and you're parking on the street and you have these signs up that no one knows about if they're being enforced or not? It's gonna put a headache to you and burden on you that you're gonna have to move your car, and it's unfair that our residents have to suffer that. And so if Nationwide is being paid to do a job, then they need to follow the schedule that's been proposed. There's signs up already, so they need to start following those signs. They're being paid to follow the time?
And I think that will be with our public safety, follow through time and make sure, okay, go ahead, okay, and we just want to have a quality control, okay, and with a contract supervising, okay, and follow through the sweeper, see the layer in the time and make sure doing it 4 hours, okay, and after that, okay, people can park, okay, and then they can clean up the place. Go ahead.
Yes, that's correct. We can do that. We can start following the sweeper and providing they're following new routes. We have those routes, those time frames for each day. There's three time frames for each day of the week, and we can have staff following and making sure they're at least the quality of their work is being accomplished, whether the signs are physically posted or not. The fact is they're still sweeping weekly.
I think the issue is if we post a sign, the time, and there's only time, okay, they move their car and the sweeper have to be there during that period of time. So meaning, and then how we, okay, implement, enforce is, okay, public safety behind it and to make sure and record it and to date comply, okay, and that would be on their performance of their contract.
That's correct, sir.
Am I right? Okay. Yeah, Brian, continue.
Yeah, and just to emphasize what Mayor Wu said is, I think it's also important that you document. So if you see them sweeping and nothing's being sucked up, then we have a problem. And we would like and expect if your department could document if there's issues on the route.
Just I want to add on. I think the public safety department, they even offer the person will pick up the car, this and that, if the big item, so they clean at the same time. I want to thank you willing to help us because we just want to make sure our city, the streets clean, and that's what residents want, and we want to make sure it can be implemented. But it's doable, right?
It's absolutely doable, and the fact that you have shorter time frames will work to the residents' advantage as well. And what will also happen is, I've worked 5 cities and run this program. This will be my 5th city running it. So residents will get used to the sweeper's going to show up every week at between 7 and 7:20 or 8:30 to 8:45, and it remains pretty consistent unless you have heavy leaves, heavy trash, or something that throws them off a little bit. But residents will become conditioned, and they'll understand roughly the 38-minute time frame of when that sweeper is actually going to show up. And with some warning notices and, rolling it out lightly, it should work out pretty well. I think we will have good compliance.
I want to add on, okay, since I lived West Covina since 1989, and I remember I lived on the 235 leave, okay, I moved corner lot, I moved my car all the time, weekly, and become religious because I know they're coming.
That's correct.
Okay, and I get used to it. I move the car, this and that, because I want my corner is clean. So it become a habit. Okay, it's a habit. It's no longer a burden because you really want the street clean. Otherwise, you have to clean it. Okay, so I don't want to clean it, so I let the sweeper clean it. Okay, but thank you so much. Any other? I want to let Ollie to say something. Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
My last comment or question to the city manager is, Paulina, can you look into the costs associated if the city was to go into a what was the term you used?
Alternating,
a whole citywide alternating schedule. I think that we owe that to our residents. So I would like the numbers.
Yeah. Okay. And Ollie. Okay. Councilman Kentos.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just wondering to what extent are these issues of no parking on both sides an issue across the city proportion-wise? I'm just curious. That's the first question. And the second thing is, what would you suggest we tell those residents in terms of when we may expect resolution of whatever those issues are with regard to how they have nowhere to park?
I'm not sure what the percentage of issues alternating to not alternating streets. I know that it's a big transition to go from bi-monthly to weekly. And then to do the parking enforcement. I think Mayor Wu mentioned this is not something that we've done in the community. It's been at the discretion of the residents in that street whether or not they wanted to enforce parking. So it is a big change. It is going to be, require participation with our residents to get this program up and running. And then what was your second question?
The second question is, by when they ask us, by when should we tell them that these issues will be addressed or remedied or resolved, where there are situations of parking, no parking on both sides, when they're saying, well, how much longer do we have to deal with this before there's a resolution? What should we tell them?
Well, I believe Mylan mentioned that the signage will be up in May. So we are currently actively putting up signage for the current program that we have up on here. Any changes to that, we'd probably have to come back to the council. So I would have to come back to you on as to what that time frame would look like to go to alternating, if that's the direction that council wants to go to.
Thank you.
Yeah. So basically, okay, we're going to install the sign, and when the sign, I think we will accumulate some of the fine tuning about the sign, the location, and again, okay, I got a couple, not a lot, okay, about issue. This last time we have a lady talking about. Okay, the sign, maybe we can help her to move to sign, not really in front of her view. So we accommodate people, like just based on your presentation. Okay, we try to accommodate and the less intrusion as possible, and want people understand. We do weekly is we really need to clean the street weekly. Currently, the car park over there, we never ever have a chance to clean. Okay, and okay, Councilmember Gutierrez, go ahead.
Yeah. I also want to think, I know Robert's been going out there sometimes to go inspect some of these signs. I know TransTech has been on it too, so I do want to thank them both for going out there and taking a look at these signs. Just try to if they could be moved, make sure we're getting Public Works to move those signs as soon as possible. But I do think you guys are getting on it and getting the job done. In addition, what else was I going to say? I forgot. No, come back to me.
Okay. One thing is this. Okay, this is a big project. Okay, and it's going to try to clean up, and people have old habit. Okay, and changing to moving 4 hours weekly. Okay, and so we can have a sweeper. So the coordination with our public safety and the sweeper and engineering and and project manager all work together. Okay, and hopefully we fine tune it, and people later on they can see our street is really clean. Okay, and without any issue, the stone drain will be clear. Okay, will be clean, and that is how we keep our city safe and clean and sanitation. Okay, I think we will continue to work in progress, and we continue to update, see how it goes, because we just started, and hopefully by May we can finish all the signage, and the public safety director come back to maybe give us a report about how is everything, how's the performance of sweeper. Okay, and because we still need to get the contract down with nationwide, so there are a lot of moving parts, and we continue to make the thing happen. Any other city council? Yeah, Mayor Proton?
Sorry, the whole street sweeping on both sides at the same time, I don't think I've ever, agreed to that, because I'm always about having them maneuver I just feel like there's just going to be an issue, especially depending on the streets, and if it is a long walk for them of like the nearest parking, if it's blocks away, especially in certain areas. I know definitely, like, I can see some issues like in my district. So that's a concern. I don't know. Does other cities do that? Because when I see other street sweeping, it's usually, if it's the same day, the times are different. One here morning, the other one in the afternoon. I just wanted to know.
Is TransTech since they're here?
I think they can better answer that, but I think
maybe
it's
TransTech.
probably
not. We don't want you to sit over there alone. Nobody care. Okay, we care. Okay, you maybe come over here, give us an answer regarding other city, how they're doing.
I'm getting these emails, and I want to be able to. We want to accommodate best to our residents and not make it a burden for them.
Certainly.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So understand the concern and the question. And so it's not uncommon in other jurisdictions to have street sweeping posted, same time period, same day. And so therefore that neighborhood, that community has to find somewhere else to park, whether it's on their driveway or in a different community. So it can be done either way. and really staff would certainly look to council's leadership and guidance on a direction if they prefer one versus another.
How many cities actually have that?
I would have to do a research in terms of hard numbers, but I can say confidently that I'm familiar with jurisdictions that have both programs in place.
Do you name a few jurisdiction? I'm just curious.
Sure. So off the top of my head, I believe Temple City has areas that have both sides, as well as Rosemead and some other jurisdictions, and I could certainly report back to council.
Beverly Hills.
Temple City, I got a ticket. Yes, yep. Okay. Yeah, because I paved in my square, my parking lot, so I have to park on the street, and both sides. Oh, I didn't see it. I didn't even see they said they put the front and the end, but in the middle they didn't put any sign. I still have to pay the ticket. I'm the victim of that, so I know.
I've had to pay a ticket too for street sweeping.
Yes, it's a street sweeping, and they have a car behind the sweeper, and I got a ticket from the lady. So anyway, yeah, and any other? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, you're done? Okay.
Council member? Yeah.
Yes. So say.
He has a question for you.
No, not for sure. I don't think so. Wait, not yet. Let's get it now. Let's see. I think Councilwoman Lopez Viado mentioned an important thing. So did the council give direction to not do alternative scheduling, or city staff just didn't present it?
I remember mentioning that. That was a thing to me. That one I was very clear, like alternative was a big thing for me.
If I remember correctly, you did bring it up, Mayor Pro Tem Lopez Viado. We did indicate that time that the cost would be significantly increased to do the alternating on all streets citywide. And so the council did direct staff to go and do alternative in the higher density areas, and then to also do the 3 time frames instead of the 2 to kind of reduce the restricted hours within the certain areas.
How much more?
So I believe we were going to do 2 time zones on each day, and we broke it down to 3 time zones per day.
What does that mean? I mean, how much more in the contract would it have been to do a city-wide alternative days?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but I will now get that information and share it with council.
Yeah, I think that's very important, so we could determine if that's the way we're going to go, and then I think we need to find out what's the leeway on the remaining signs. Before we waste the money on signs we're gonna end up changing again. So I think if there's leeway, we should notify the manufacturer to wait for direction, kind of thing. And I think again, it's just important that we also. Mylan mentioned that he's ready to have his public safety go out there and follow those street cleaners. So, Paulina, tomorrow, are you going to be notifying Nationwide to follow the schedule of the signs?
I will work with public safety and Nationwide.
Is that yes or no?
Yes. Yeah. Okay, are we going to move on, please? Okay, otherwise we will stay here for a whole night. Okay, and this is just a work in progress. Okay, and it's not going to achieve in one night. I think we continue to find the issue. Okay, we continue to improve it. We continue to invite, okay, and come back and see how it goes. And they always will have some complaint for sure, okay. But we are going to continue to work to see how we can still doing our job to clean what we promised to clean the street, clean the city, but at the same time, less intrusion for people, okay, and the parking, this issue. But okay, it's just what we have to work the balance. But the most important thing, okay, that we just have to make sure we continue to work on it and make sure it happens. Any other otherwise I want to move on next agenda. But thank you so much, Robert. Okay, and I see you next time. Maybe in the very near future, we're going to bring you guys back to see how and the progress and how maybe public safety director to give us how is their performance, okay, and how's the signage. And Robert can tell the signage, and transit tell everything, and the public, okay, and nationwide, the sweeper can tell us, okay, they make some change to make less inconvenient for the people. Okay, and let's go to number 8. Number 8, right? Number 8 regarding the highway thing. Okay, number 8, local highway safety improvement program. Okay, and who's going to present this agenda? This receive and file.
Yes, Mayor Michael Lloyd, our city engineer, will be providing the presentation.
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members. Thank you for the opportunity to present an update on the city's Highway Safety Improvement Program, also known as HSIP projects. The purpose of the HSIP grant program is to achieve a significant reduction in traffic fatalities and serious injuries on all public roads. Applicants must be a public agency. The HSIP program provides state and federal funds to assist on projects which will improve the safety of all local roadways. And then finally, in order to apply for HSIP funds, an agency must have a completed local roadway safety plan. The city was successful in the Cycle 10 update. The city received approximately $3.1 million of state funds. The project is to install various traffic signal improvements for both vehicle traffic and pedestrians. The current status of the project, it's currently under construction. The contractor is conducting potholing to finalize traffic signal pole locations in order to get those items ordered. And the expected completion date is late 2026. And Cycle 10 included 10 intersection locations. Prior to the HSIP Cycle 12 submittal, that was last year, the state required local roadway safety plans, LRSPs, to be adopted by all the local agencies. The city of West Covina adopted theirs in September of 2022. The LRSP is a planning document that includes recommendations of various countermeasures to address different types of collisions. And then finally, and as I mentioned, an adopted LRSP is required to be eligible in order to submit for HSIP funding. So background on the HSIP Cycle 12, recent call for projects. The call went out last year. Engineering staff collected data as well as reviewed the Cycle 12 program requirements, put together all the necessary information into an application. The application was submitted in September of 2024. In February of this year, 2025, the city of West Covina was informed that we had a successful grant application. It is a very competitive grant. Many agencies pursue it. Approximately 330 applications from 165 different local public agencies were part of the Cycle 12 process. So this slide provides information on Cycle 12. The city was awarded $4.7 million of federal funding. The city needs to provide a match of 10%, so approximately $500,000 or $500,000. There's 60 locations that include various pieces of traffic signal hardware improvements, updates, as well as installing pedestrian signal improvements. Four locations will include those items, as well as protected left turn phasing. And it's worth noting the note here at the bottom left-hand side of the slide. The city of West Covina was awarded the 11th highest amount of funds out of the 283 agencies that were awarded. So very proud of that. This next slide just provides some basic information that was part of the grant application. The total project cost is approximately $5.2 million. As I mentioned, the grant funding is approximately $4.7 million. There is a funding reimbursement ratio per the program, 90%, so there's a 10% match requirement. And then just to show how competitive the grant process is, really to be competitive, you need a benefit to cost ratio greater than 18. So in other words, per Caltrans and the FHWA, they monetize or quantify projected benefits based on the improvements. And then obviously there's a cost associated with installing them, which provides the benefit to cost ratio. Again, the grant scope, there's 3 types of countermeasures included in the HSIP Cycle 12 project. There's the improvements of the actual signal hardware, so such as the signal heads being replaced. There's installation of the pedestrian signal timing, often referred to as leading pedestrian intervals. That will adjust signal timing at the intersection to provide a better environment for pedestrians to cross the street. And then, as I mentioned, there are 4 intersections that include the protected left turn phasing. So next steps, this, as I mentioned, is federally funded, so we're going to be working with Caltrans. There is a process in terms of submittals and paperwork and so forth. So first off, we have to get our paperwork in order to receive authorization to begin design work. So that paperwork will go in. Once Caltrans approves that, staff will prepare an RFP for the preliminary engineering or the design work. And the selected consultant will be approved, obviously, by City Council. So that agreement would come for your review and approval. After the design phase is completed, then staff would coordinate with Caltrans for construction phase approval. Upon receiving that approval from Caltrans, staff would solicit construction bids, and the lowest responsible bid would again be brought back to City Council for its consideration and contract award. And then upon completion of that step, then the selected contractor could go through the submittal process and get the project underway. Since we are talking about traffic signal poles, those are long lead items. Typically, they take about 5 to 6 months for delivery upon ordering. So this is why these types of signal projects tend to take longer to get done. This next slide provides both Cycle 10 and Cycle 12. So the red circles show the 10 intersection locations, part of Cycle 10. And then the green circles show the 64 intersections that were part of Cycle 12. In total, for the 2 cycles, 74 intersections across the city will be receiving the identified improvements. Oops, apologies. So this concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And any council member have a question? Okay, Council Member Gutierrez.
Yes. So for these, I think one of the things I mentioned before, I know to TransTech and to Melissa was the need to think outside the box when it comes to modern technology. And so I would like to see. I see that. I see you do have some of the things I recommended, like traverse rumble strips. Those are great ideas. The flashing LED stop signs that illuminate in the middle too. That's something that will be new in our streets that will be instrumental. And I think for a lot of our school sections, a lot of these areas, I think something else where we can look, that TransTech could look at where all this funding that you guys secured us is the opportunity to also maybe put the flashing yellow things that go on the ground for the school cross rocks areas. I know some cities have that. And then I think, were you on that one email where about the speed sign? Or I think, where's Jana? All right, Jana was. Jana's going to forward it to you. But one of those signs said, I think, that one of the more modern speed limit signs was a more higher tech one that's more visual. It says slow down, so it's a little bigger and wider, and it gets the attention of. I think Jana could comment on what I was referring to.
Right. The next presentation is mine.
Oh, okay.
So we go over some of your ideas.
Uh-huh.
Now you have to remember that HSIP is Highway Safety Improvement Program. So this is where we do a lot of the signals. The ATP is where we do the school crosswalks and all of the flashing signs, your speed signs, and stuff like that.
It's number 9. So the number 9, right?
What was that?
The one he's going to talk about is number 9.
Yes. The next
item.
We're going to talk about.
So now we talk about the
this
freeway.
Is just the HSIP 12. So pretty much once you get the grant, you have to stick with what we went for.
This is the grant we are going to use in the Caltrans.
Right.
For are these for the major intersections?
Yes.
So
In this case, it's pretty involved to get into the grant, but you can only use 3 countermeasures.
Mm-hmm.
And the countermeasures are all from the local safety manual. So it's this.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to go through all the countermeasures and see what applies. And it has to apply to everything you're recommending. So you only get 3, and it has to apply to everything. So when you're competing, because there was over 400 applications, because every city wants the money, the grant, to do at least something, you kind of have to look at what is, like Michael said, the lower rate, the B over C cost ratio. So you kind of have to juggle a little bit trying to get a high cost ratio. So unfortunately, I mean, this is the best we could do for this one to keep 18 or higher benefit cost.
Yeah, so I think one of the things I mentioned to our Public Works Deputy Director was I think it's important that we're, even if it's intersections or we're improving, that we look at the single lights that illuminate more brighter. I think the ones that have a tint, kind of like a tint to it. So if you're on this side, you can't really see it. That's just an accident waiting to happen. And
because this one, it has some of the 60 has some signal head improvement. So you'll see the yellow outline, which you'll see a lot of cities are starting to do all their signals, because it is.
Yeah.
And Caltrans especially, they were the leader. So if you drive by any ramp, they have those yellow things so that at night your headlight goes. And some of them have those, some of the signals will be updated because they have the small ball on those signal heads. So they need to be updated to the larger.
Yeah, because I know some of them have. I think they've been just recently been put out, but there's like if you're on the right side of the street, you can't see the light.
Yeah,
and
it's kind of an older thing that everybody, but now they're changing.
Yeah, I remember at one point it was like the best product. Yeah. Okay, great.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Otherwise, you got to talk forever. Okay. And Councilman Oli Kento, go ahead.
Thank you. Within Cycle 12, am I correct in remembering that Amar and Westport, Michael, is one of the intersections? I'm just trying to remember. I thought it was, but...
You are correct, Councilman Contos. It is one of the intersections that will be, that's included in the grant.
Great. And because that particular intersection has received so much attention, for the benefit of the residents, I know there are a number of other intersections in there, but can you please describe what are the changes that are going to be put into place and approximately by when?
So, yes, council member. So this particular intersection, Amar and West Point, will include new signal equipment, the signal heads, as well as what's called leading pedestrian intervals. So there'll be some signal pedestrian signal timing adjustments, and then there will be the protected left turn phasing. So there will be an additional signal heads installed out there to provide protected left turn movements. In terms of timing, we just received notice from Caltrans that we were successful on the grant application. So there is a lengthy process, unfortunately, just given due to all the submittals and paperworks and approvals and so forth. So I honestly, I don't want to overpromise anything to council, but the reality is before we see construction on this, most likely we're looking at an 18 to 24-month process to get through all the approvals.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem? Okay, before I give to you, okay, I want to, okay, I have a question regarding the synchronization. Okay, that's $7 million. Okay, is that, okay, a separate of this, right? Okay,
that is
and
correct,
have
Mayor.
we done any, okay, IP, this and that, because we want to make sure, because the federal government is cut down all the thing, take the money back, we want to make sure we can still have the money we need to improve our Azusa Avenue.
Agree. And so we're in the process of getting that RFP out so that we can get the design work done and get it under contract to get the signal timings adjusted along the corridor.
And including ADA compliance, that is not only for synchronized, including ADA compliance too, meaning they have some kind of to let people can safely cross.
That is right.
Okay, because Azusa is a very busy street, and we want to make sure people can cross safely, and with synchronization, and people driving 35 miles, they can go all green light, and including the full hill transits, including their device. So I think this thing, including all this, okay, and the Caltrans, the highway, okay, traffic signal thing, we all combine, and we need to get this done ASAP before anything happen from the federal government. Yeah, go ahead, Councilmember Gutierrez.
Yeah. So, Paulina, when are you gonna be posting that RFP?
Which one?
The $7 million one.
The synchronization and ADA. Have you sent out yet?
No, they are drafting it and putting it together so that we can post it. So this would be for the design of the project. The next one would be the actual construction.
This year or next year?
I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry. This year or next year you're going to post it?
The one for design this year, we are on a time crunch because the funding has been provided to Caltrans, who administers the federal grant, and so there is a time frame that we have to abide by in order to.
So you're going to have to do the design period and then award a contractor?
We have to go out for bid for the design of the project.
Then I suggest before you lose your $7 million, you start that, you minimize the posting to that's required by law to the minimum time possible, and you start this process because you're going to end up losing $7 million.
Exactly. And the first thing we want to make sure Caltrans has $7 million, that we are still have that money. Okay. And the second thing, we are going to show them we already sent out the RFP. Okay. And who is doing this RFP? Is Transtech or City?
So Transtech will be working on the draft, and it will be routed internally.
How soon you can get a draft to the city so we can have attorney? Okay, so we need to get this thing rolling because our expiration date is next year. And we don't want to miss the $7 million because the federal government currently, they take the money back like no tomorrow. So we want to finally, we get this $7 million to fix our Azusa. We do not want to miss that money. Because
we are aware of the deadline, and we are going to be working on getting that RFP.
Okay, how soon we can get a draft?
So we can route that to within the city this week for
this week.
Review
and when you send to the city attorney, you're going to review it, right?
Correct.
So how soon you can send it out so we can send our RFP, so in that way we can everything rolling so we don't miss the money. We don't miss the bus.
Our review is very quick.
Yeah, because the design period it's gonna take major work. So we need to start the designing process fast because incorporating ADA accessibility into the Azusa Avenue corridor is a big project to overtake, and making sure the synchronization happens, but also ADA compliance throughout Azusa Avenue. It's going to be a major improvement and a major win for people with disabilities and who need that improvement.
Agree.
Yeah.
Okay, I think this is, you can see how urgency, okay, and because this one we already have funding. Okay, so meaning the money is already there. You guys just have to get the design and spend it. Okay, so we can improve our Azusa Avenue with synchronization and the ADA compliance to let people to be safely driving and safely cross. Okay, any other question? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. So Transec assists in writing the RFP?
Yes, when directed, we do.
And then does Transec participate in selecting the RFP, the applicant?
No, we prepare the document, but we're not, generally speaking, not part of the selection process.
Okay, great. I'm just making sure.
Question. Who is the
Accountability question.
Who is the selecting committee? Is it Robert, our city staff? Joanne? Oh, okay, our city staff.
Great, yeah.
You got it? Okay.
Yep, perfect.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, city manager, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say it is city staff that reviews the proposals that we receive through a bid, and then we bring it to city council for consideration.
Yeah, and I'll just leave off again by saying the design process for a Azusa Avenue corridor is going to be a major ontake, and it's $7 million. So we need to really focus on that. We need to and find a designer, prioritize that, because you're running out of time. And do we know the expiration date on that?
2026, I think July or something.
January of 2026?
We do have the time frame for the grant. I don't remember off the top of my head, but we are very aware of the deadline that we have to meet in order to continue to receive that funding.
Yeah, well, you're a little late.
Okay. Yeah.
You only have a few months left.
Council member, okay, I think
That's it.
I think they already know the urgency.
Yep.
Okay, by this week, okay, Transnet will give us the draft, okay, and then we will give the city attorney, Tom, okay, so you can go into review it quickly and send out to city, and then we send out the RFP, and then when you get the RFP, please review it quickly and give a recommendation. We get it done. We have people to design. We need to improve our Azusa before the money disappear. Okay, and go ahead, Brian.
One more question. What's the status on Vincent and Brente at Transec? I know last time I spoke to them, I think they told me it was going to take 6 months. I think we're on April now, so I think they were expected to be done in 2 months potentially.
So, Councilmember, the intersection you referenced is part of Cycle 10. So the contractor is currently wrapping up the potholing efforts to get the equipment ordered. That's a 5 to 6 month process to get that, to receive that traffic signal poles equipment. So that's about where we're at, probably, given where we're at today, probably 7 months before we...
Again, 6, 7 months more? I spoke to them in January, the contractor, and the contractor said they were looking at 6 months back in January. Now we're at 6 months more. We're never going to get it done, I guess.
Well, honestly, Councilmember, I'm not privy to the discussion that you had with the contractor, but where we're at right now, the potholing, the ordering the equipment, that's based on what we're being provided from the contractor. It takes 5 to 6.
And then the contractor also told me that some cities don't require testing, or what's the potholing? The potholing is a soil sampling, right, or something?
Potholing is done in order to determine if there's any utility conflicts where the proposed pole is going to be located. The last thing we want to do is start drilling a hole with a utility there.
Yeah, so we have some existing poles where they're at. So when they couldn't use the same existing locations?
That would come down to the design engineer's recommendation on whether to reuse.
Because they were kind of blaming you guys, that you guys put the restriction on them.
I'm sorry.
And council member, okay, and they all blame each other, okay, and since I build houses, everybody blame each other, okay. So, but here's the point, and I think you can see the urgency. Okay, and we've been requesting that thing to be installed. So please, okay, make it happen ASAP, because I think we already got the funding and we already approve. Why not just implement? And with council member request, he just want to make sure that thing can be implemented so people won't have accident over there. Yes, City Manager?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that when we started this project, when it came before you, I believe in fall, I don't remember the actual month, but we did indicate that we were going to prioritize that intersection. That was going to be the first intersection that was going to be completed as part of HSA.
So now we're a year out more now. So
okay, yes, I know. Okay, I think nothing right now all the way. Okay, we will argue all night. And
I'm not arguing.
Yeah, please make things happen. Okay, ASAP. Okay, okay. So because safety is very important to all the council, and it's very important to Council Member Gutierrez because he been gospel about the intersection, and I heard many times, and he really care about that. He wanted the thing get done. So please implement, okay, prioritize that thing. This is, we have everything. Anything you want to add? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. So like I was saying, if there's requirements that we don't have to impose on these additional contractors, then we should find a way not to impose it on them. If we need to update the code, then we would love to have TransTech recommend that to us to maybe a case-by-case basis. TransTech could determine if that is necessary for certain projects. That was just my emphasis. And then if you could also follow up with the contractor to get a final estimate on when they expect to when do they expect to start installing those poles? So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, let's move on the item number 9. Okay, and regarding what new in traffic and traffic control device and the guideline. Okay, go ahead. Who is going to represent this? Go ahead and present this. The last item.
Michael will. Who will be? Jana, I apologize, will be providing the presentation. You can do it here.
Thomas. Go ahead, please. Mike, please.
Sorry. Okay, at the request of council, last meeting, I'm going to provide an update to some of the new traffic control devices as well as some new guidelines and laws that apply to what we can put on city streets as street improvements. Just as an overview, there is new traffic control devices, how to make a citizen request, and new state laws. The Federal Highway Administration decided that all traffic control put on public streets and highways should have a uniform or standard meaning so that drivers would be able to recognize, interpret traffic control wherever they're driving. So each state is also able to adopt standards that would be more applicable to their state. In this case, California has the California MUTCD. There are signs in other states, you'll notice, and they are guided by a national MUTCD. So, but for California, we follow the California MUTCD as well as the California Vehicle Code. So, what is the difference between traffic control devices and traffic calming tools? Traffic calming devices are like stop signs, speed limit signs, and these require enforcement to function effectively. Whereas traffic calming tools are self-enforcing. They try to reduce speed and volume without the need for enforcement. The next slide is this is a traffic control device. So, but increases the visibility for residents, for drivers, is putting in the larger stop signs. They have 36 by 36 inch, adding the red reflective strip to the signpost. And then, as Councilmember Gutierrez has recommended, is the flashing LED stop signs on the right are the ones we have been putting, but on the single one on the left is the LED lights that are in the stop as well as the perimeter. So we try to place these somewhat sparingly, because if overuse, they kind of lose their effectiveness if every stop sign had it. The next slide is a traffic calming tool, which is the striping of white edge lines, or we call them the side stripes. It serves to narrow the roadway, visually tending to, when we narrow the roadway, motors feel it's tighter to drive, so they drive slower. The next one is a traffic control measure, as well as a traffic control device, traffic calming and traffic control. The electronic speed feedback signs, where you see the your speed. Normally, when we place the your speed back signs, they match the color of the speed limit. So in this case, we have the white regulatory speed limit, and then we have the white your speed sign. Now, in some cases, we put them near curves or by an advisory speed limit, and those are usually yellow. And your speed is usually placed below the speed limit that you want them to follow, because it kind of reinforces the speed. The next one is traffic control device. It is the flashing beacon, or the rectangular rapid flashing beacons. We have now quite a few of these in the city, and there will be more when the ATP is finished. It's just starting. This is the pedestrian sign, whether it's a school or pedestrian, as shown in the picture, and then it has the RRFB, which is the rapid flashing beacon, and then the downward arrow. Then we also now, to add visibility, we would do this as a double-sided sign, so that if someone's parking or in your second lane, you would still see where pedestrians are crossing. I know in-road lights is another device for traffic calming. Now, these are only placed at marked crosswalks. They're not installed at yield, stop, or signal control. And they do have what's called warrants found in the California MUTCD for placement of these. We haven't placed any in the city as of right now, because in the past it has been shown that these are a little harder for maintenance because of they take a lot of abuse, because cars run over the lights, and then if one light is out, you can't. In some cases, you have to replace all of the lights. So now they've coming out with some new technology, which has changed a little bit. In the past, the batteries didn't last as long as the RRFB, so we tended to look at the RRFB instead of the in-road lights. The next one is HAWK, or overhead pedestrian signal, and this is a traffic control device because it has warrants or criteria found in the California MUTCD on the number of pedestrians. On these are a high ticket items, so usually you want to have on a major street, you need 20 pedestrians per hour for a couple hours. 35 miles per hour or more with minimum traffic volumes, and you look at the width of the street and the gaps in traffic for crossing for pedestrians. Next one is a new one, is the transverse rumble strips, or dot bots. These are also an approved device in the California MUTCD. You run over these, and it has that thump, thump, thump sound. Sometimes on freeways, you'll see it on the edge lines. If you know you're getting out of your lane, it'll rumble. So there's different ways to do it. There's the paint, that has little, not glass, but these crystals or whatever in it. So when you run it over, it provides the rumble sound. Or there's the rubber for the strips. Or they're also, and you've probably seen dots on, I know Cortez has some older dots.
They all gone.
And they're coming up.
Yeah, they all gone.
Yeah, so, this way is good that these are stronger, but you have to remember when you have pavement, when you do the pavement rehab, you have to remove them and then replace them. There's also, in the legends, you could place the kind of rumble strips or dots outlining it as well. Then we have the speed humps or cushions, and this is a traffic calming device. They're not considered a traffic control device since they are a physical feature, and the traffic device, the California MUTCD, does not address specific designs such as height, width, or spacing. Now, there's several different types of speed humps. Speed humps are the runs you see all the time. It goes all the way across the street. The height is, 2 to 3 inches high, width, and then you usually put the paint as shown. It's like a V, and then inverted V, and then you also post it with signs. Then there's a speed cushion, which allows the fire trucks to go around the speed hump, so they're wide enough base that the speed hump is in the middle, the wheels are on the either side. The city does have its speed hump guidelines, and there is criteria that must be met before this is considered. As such, it's usually placed on a local street. It has no more than a 25 mile per hour posted speed. The street width is 40 feet or less. There's one lane in each direction, and usually has, or at least the guidelines has, a minimum number of vehicles at 500 to 3,000 vehicles per day. And then it also has another community function, is that it asks for a petition from the residents who live on that street, that 75% of those residents on the street that they're looking at speed humps are in agreement for speed humps, because there is impact, because you're going to hear the thump thump 24/7, and it's in front of your house. You can't put them next to a stop sign, a signal. You want it spaced out, and usually there's a couple sets depending on how wide the street is, or how long the street segment is. The next one, we just wanted to put in here that this is how citizens can make requests. So they would fill out a citizen request, which is found on the city's website. Fill that out, and then we send it in what your complaint is, what your concern is, and then we would answer that and get back to you on what can be done. So we keep a detailed log of all the requests that are coming in, and when we responded to the resident and what responded. Next slide. So here's just a little thing, how to find the request. You go to departments, then community development, engineering division, and then we'll pop up. It'll have traffic calming related requests, and then it has the form that I showed you, and then also it has like guidelines for specific types of requests. So you can look at like crosswalks, curb markings, school crossing guards, speed humps, stop signs, traffic signals. So there's a brochure, we call it, on the web so that you can look and see if you are requesting something that can be installed. So the steps, once we receive your form, then we look at it, provide an admin review. We look at the segment in question. We look at 3 years of collisions to determine, the eligibility of the street for further study, or what could, and also the type of request, if we can accommodate. So those in the policy, first we do an admin review, then we go to level 1 measure. We also submit the request if it's speeding to the police department so they can do spot checks. And they do have a speed trailer, so if they can put the speed trailer out in the meantime while a potential study is being completed. Some of these studies will need traffic counts and speed survey to determine if it's a speed-related issue, how big the issue is. All of these requests that have an admin review or level 1 or 2, whatever, the process goes to the Traffic Commission, and they meet once a month. And the item is presented to Traffic Commission, and they discuss the item, and they either make changes, they review, or they agree that it needs to go to council for approval. So council has several, over the couple years, they have several packets of things that are coming through for review. The final section is about new laws that affect traffic. The first one is AB 413, and this one is the bill prohibits the stopping, standing, or parking of a vehicle within 20 feet of the vehicle approach side of an unmarked or marked crosswalk, or 15 feet if there's a curb extension. So if you look at the picture, before AB 413, this is a one-way street, but it's just an example. Cars would pull right up to the crosswalk. Now, on a one-way street, there would be red curb, or there's that safety zone that no one can park in front up to the crosswalk. Now, it also applies to unmarked crosswalks. So if there's an ADA ramp, it's implied that pedestrians can cross, and the same rule would apply. I know there was a question last time about the several cities have the speed safety pilot program going on right now. It's called AB 645, and that's only for the cities of Los Angeles, San Jose, Oakland, Glendale, Long Beach, San Francisco. They are doing a pilot program looking at radar speed signs to give out tickets. It's a long process to get approved to have a pilot, and it's based on the amount of collisions that your city has at certain streets, has to be identified in a like your LRSP type, that is a high safety intersection, and then the number of locations or cameras in the speed signs that you have is based on population. So anyway, you can look up the whole thing on AB 645. Now the next one is AB 43. I know it's kind of dry, sorry, but this has made changes to how we look at posting the speed limit. So I know it's coming up. The city has some decisions to make on their citywide speed survey. So speed surveys usually go 5-year, 7-year. At the 7-year mark, a speed survey needs to be signed and stamped by a registered engineer, and they are saying that nothing has changed, that we can continue that for another 7 years. That's called recertifying your citywide speed survey. If there are locations that maybe had some changes, or the city is looking that they want to potentially change the speed limit or look and see what happens, then those items are pulled and a new speed survey is done. AB 43 has some new guidelines. So now when we look at how we post or decide what the posted speed limit is, it's used to be it still is, it's all based on the 85th percentile of speed. So what it's saying is if 85% of the cars are traveling at a certain speed or less, so that 85th percentile is where we want to, within parameters, post the speed limit. So in this case, now we're able to look at land use and facilities that generate a lot of pedestrians to potentially lower the speed limits. This includes locations near schools, the mall, senior center. Can you change a posted speed limit without an engineering study? No. You still have to go through the motion of doing the study, seeing what the 85th percentile is, but it allows us to round down the speed limit. You're allowed to go to 15 or 20 miles per hour in front of schools, but it also, you have to read the fine print. It also, only applies to streets in front of a school that has one lane each direction, has to be within 500 feet of the school grounds, and the regular speed is 30 miles per hour or less, and defined as a local road. So, this next section is just pretty much the California MUTCD and the vehicle code, California Vehicle Code, always go hand in hand. So, with these changes to how speed limits or speed surveys are conducted, the CVC also changed their guidelines to match. So, this one now. There's another added thing for the speed limits. You can change, you can designate some of your streets as safety corridors if they're identified in the LRSP as one of the top 10 or so segments that have the highest collision rate. Then you have another added dimension of how you may be able to change the speed limit. But in no case can you change the speed limit less than 12.4 miles per hour from the 85th percentile. So the other one is just another change to the CVC. And then it also now, when you're doing a speed survey, which is important, like I said, it was 5 or 7 years, and you could, with engineer sign-off, you could go to 10 years. Now you at the 7-year mark, you can get an additional 7 years, so your speed survey is good for 14 years. And then the next one is just a table that shows what type of land uses you can consider that are high pedestrian generators when you're looking at posted speed limits. And that's it.
Okay, thank you so much. Holy macro.
Everybody fall asleep. Sorry.
Really educational.
I feel like I'm back in college again.
Great.
Holy Mike, I have to remember.
Love it.
Okay, before I started, okay, I want to apologize to Councilman Kento. I think this is difficult for you to visualize. Okay, about the graphic, about the crossroad. I want to give you a chance to go first to ask some questions so you can understand some of her presentation. It's not a change about the law and this and that. And the one thing is very interesting is about crossroad, 15 feet. So almost all the corner lot of a street, they were painted red based on the new law. Am I right, Janet?
It's the approach, only the approach to a crosswalk. So it wouldn't, approaching it would be
the red
feet.
Yeah.
But if you cross that intersection, then you're not approaching it anymore, so you wouldn't need it on the other side.
Okay, got it. So approaching with 15 feet.
20 feet.
20 feet, we have the painted red, right?
You don't now. Technically, you could paint it red, but it's also in the law. So if you're parked within that 20 feet,
you get a ticket.
You could still get a ticket.
Yep.
So you don't have to go out and paint everything red. So it's the new law.
Okay, Councilman Kento, go ahead.
Thank you. Jana, with the emails that we frequently have combined with this, your verbal descriptions are amazing. So I actually understand it. It's very interesting, literally. I love this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, this is great. Understand it.
Yes. No, but so so I saw a lot of the good things that we're implementing. I think another thing we could look at. I know we've been buying for the school zones. We buy the two lights that flash underneath
RRFB, yes.
And I was looking at the LED lighting solutions, I see that there's also rapid flashing beacons that actually, I guess, it's like a 4-light system underneath it, and it's a flashing beacon. I think that will be more modern to what we have not used before. And
right. You just have to remember that we follow the California MUTCD. There's some signs and some sign companies that sell these, and if you notice, they'll say it's MUTCD compliant, but that's the national. But California has adopted its own standards, so you just have to check it. It may be fine. I'm just saying you need to check it. When
I have good news. It's in compliance. I'm looking at it right now.
California MUTCD?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yep. So I see that's that. I think also, the lights that go on the floor, I understand it's a bigger maintenance to maintain, but at the same time, we're going to be saving lives. So I think that's important, regardless of the maintenance it comes with. I think that we should start implementing the newer technology because there's been too many accidents, deaths in our community, and I think it's time now we think outside the box and start doing that modern technology and the solutions that are out there, including the beacons that go on the ground or the 4-light beacon system for the crosswalks. So I know there's so many stuff out there. I know I sent you some of the pictures that are on this website. Obviously, you guys know of all the other stuff that's out there that's newer technology. So yeah, I was just encourage you guys if you guys could start buying the more modern stuff, the things that flash more, whatever, the bigger speed signs like I sent on a different email. So I think that's very important so we can minimize the traffic collisions in our community. That's it. Thank you.
Are you finished? Okay, thank you so much. Okay, and any other council member? No. Oh, thank you so much, Jenna. Okay, we're going to see you again because we still have a lot of traffic committee. I think we changed the traffic committee, the time and the committee, the voting members. So hopefully we can have a more participant of our resident to join your traffic committee to improve their area. Thank you so much, Jenna, and thank you, Brian. Okay, appreciate. Okay, and now we are going to go to the Council AB 1234 and the annual report. Even now, I'm going to go to the council member requests and comment. Go ahead.
Okay.
Brian, go ahead.
Okay, I would like to make a council request to request that an RFP for a state lobbyist be initiated.
Anybody against that?
I'm sorry, what is the request?
Yeah, go ahead, your request.
It's to do an RFP to look for a state lobbyist.
Councilman Kento, go ahead.
Just to clarify, we currently have a state lobbyist, but it's just to open up the people.
City manager, okay, maybe you can clarify. I think so. They have a concern, okay, and do we have a lobbyist in the state?
Yes, we do.
Okay, do we pay the lobbyist?
Yes, we do.
Okay, how is the performance of the lobbyist for us?
They have been very helpful with the lobbying for the issues that we have requested them to help us with.
So currently you don't have any issue with this lobbyist, or you want? Okay, I think Council Member Gutierrez just want to maybe have look into the performance and possible go to the RFP, right? That's what you want.
Yeah. So I've spoken to various senators and assembly members. And they told me, we didn't even know he was your lobbyist. He's always lobbying for other cities, not West Covina. So when I'm hearing this, then it's probably best that we open fairness. And how long have we had this lobbyist for, Paulina?
Since the disillusionment of redevelopment. So maybe 13 years?
13 years.
Hold on.
Yeah.
What is the contract? Do we have a due date?
We do have a contract, and I believe it continues unless otherwise terminated.
Say that again?
I'd have to look at the contract.
So you don't know the due date, expiration day?
Is it what you just said, or was something else?
I
You just said that it's when it's a contract, but it's we could terminate it at any time. Is that what you're saying?
Extended unless otherwise terminated.
Okay, that's
so it's a month to month. He doesn't have a contract.
I don't remember the exact terms if it's month to month.
Let's find out what the contract. City attorney, can you look into the contract, please? Okay, and I think we can start from there, and then we're starting to have a performance review, and then after that we go to the if we council approve. So let's check. But anyway, let's get to be fair. Let's go into the proper procedure. Better this way.
So provide us a copy of the contract. I actually asked this. From you a month ago, so we don't know the questions.
Yeah, okay, I got it.
That's fine. But
the Mother May I will be okay. Let's have our state lobbyist, okay, with their contract and their performance, okay, show to City Council what he or she done.
Provide this council a list of accomplishments the lobbyist has accomplished. Please provide that by the second meeting of May.
Are you okay with that? Okay, Councilman Canto?
Yes.
Okay, I think it's better this way. Have at least give this lobbyist a chance to review what he has done and the contract, what it looked like. Okay, and then based on that, we go to move on.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any other council, any other requests?
I'm not done yet.
You're not done? You have more?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
I make a request that we, by the May 6th council meeting, that the council be presented in presentation, and that this information is attached to the agenda packet, but the total costs for the Spring Festival, including any overtime associated with that cost.
So you want to have how much cost for the Spring Festival?
Yes.
Okay, and anybody against that? Okay, let's have the cost, okay, how much it will cost us and how much we spend on our donation and West Covina Foundation. So how much you use in the general fund, right?
Yeah. Yes, it includes overtime, any expenses related to operating the event, and it should be attached to the public document.
Okay, and nobody against that, right? Okay, okay, good. Okay, and what next?
And then by the second meeting of May, invite the sanitation district to come present on the work they have done in the community, and tell them to expect that we're going to be asking a lot of questions about the roads that they damaged.
Anybody against that? No? Okay.
Okay, next one.
So we have a sanitation representative to talk about their project and see how we can collaborate in the future. After we pay the street, and they don't want to dig up the street. Okay, next.
And then there was a council request at the last meeting, Paulina, and you said it's going to be brought back for the next meeting, right?
Okay.
Yes, I believe it was about the breakdown of costs for the health department so far.
Oh, yeah. So that will be brought back
May 6th.
Yeah, that's next.
Okay.
We're at May 6th. No, the health department one. That was actually due
April
this
15th.
today, but.
April 15th.
Yeah, okay, great.
Okay, next.
And then the next one is I would like a presentation on policy for let's see. So I'll kind of make this broad. So you have, for example, when our police officers are on patrol, their cars have they all have tracking devices. When our firefighters respond to incidents, those trucks have GPS systems on there to ensure accountability. What I would like to see is what policies or recommendations does the city recommend even for public works vehicles?
Oh, talking about GPS on the public work, the car?
Yeah.
Anybody against that? Okay, so let's have GP. Are you going to only public work or all the vehicle, city vehicle?
It could be all city vehicles, but then there'll be some exemptions because you don't want to. Obviously, we're not gonna. It depends on if it's law enforcement or
no.
Yes.
Remove the police and fire.
Yeah.
Any city staff with the city car, and you want the GPS.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody against that? Okay.
And if you could bring that presentation, when do you need? You need that by the second meeting. The first meeting of May or second meeting of May.
You just want to see what policy we have
Well,
and what
ideally, we're
policy
going to
recommendations we would be
The
making.
goal here is to eventually implement a GPS system for all city vehicles.
So we can
Because
provide what we have.
If our police are burdened with it, and if our firefighters are burdened with it, then why isn't the other vehicles burdened with it? So it's really to see what the implementation will be, and then the presentation on options.
I think the council member could hear. Want to make sure the city vehicle not going to be abused to use, so everything will be properly used for the city business only.
Correct. Sorry, I just wanted clarification. So you just want to know what if we have a policy in place and or what recommendations we would make for a policy.
Yeah, and the costs associated with when implementing a GPS system in these vehicles.
Or maybe it costs too, right? You want to put
cost,
the
yeah, I said the cost,
It will cost quite a lot.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure we have the money for that, or we have a grant for that. Okay, so we want to create waste. You want to save money, but now we'll create waste. Okay, everybody okay? Okay, and the next.
Well, let me clarify. I want to make sure some city people are working and they're not just parked doing nothing. So it's an accountability measure to make sure that if our police and fire have to go through it, then public works should be going through it too, and accountability should be placed. And we'll look at other vehicles in that process as well. So
yeah, okay, but we better to let people we believe in. We have the trust. Okay,
Yeah.
and so hopefully not like a. Big government, big brother watching everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, but this has become a very common. Okay, all the cars GPS, including AAA, come to install my battery, and they got a GPS. They say I cannot idle in too long. So I understand where you're coming from. Okay, and what next? You have more, or are you done?
And I have 10 more April Fools. That's it. Thank you.
Awesome. You got me there. You got me too. And okay, Councilman Kento, you have any?
Yes, I have two. First, I'd like to ask for support in city staff researching other city approaches to spaying and neutering dogs and cat or pets, animals, and also with regard to the education and microchipping, and also to include within that a cost analysis so we'd see the implications of whatever it is that could be on the table for us to consider, and for that to be done by the second meeting in May.
Agree. I think this is something, if the county don't do it, okay, then we might have to pick up the pieces and make sure people are responsible for what they, like myself, I have a pet, then I absolutely will put a microchip. Okay, and also, make sure that they fix them. Okay, so in that way they don't produce, and plus they're healthier this way. Okay, and that's number one. Anybody against that? Okay, very good. Okay, so go ahead. Next one.
Thank you. And the second one is in support of accountability with regard to commissions. I'd like to ask for the staff to produce the attendance records of all commission meetings of every boards and commissions over the past year, and to include the names of who attended and who did not, and who are the council members who appointed each of those commissioners. So that way, at least for transparency, we will see how well and how frequently folks have been in attendance.
Anybody against that? No? Okay, I think it's okay, fine, we all agree. But the thing is, and I know some community service commissioner, they say they never received a notification or notification to, because they only do it once a month. So we want to make sure the proper notification have to be given. Okay, so in that way they know when to okay, show up.
Well,
I think this issue is accountability subject to city has to be accountability to notify the proper, commissioner have been there. Then we need to, I agree 100%. Then we need to have a roll call with how many people show up, when they missing this, why you miss. And if you don't want to do it, then we will replace with somebody willing to do it. Okay, hopefully, like you say, accountability. You done? You done?
Well, yes, exactly. Just and if there are explanations like that, then that should be appropriately noted so there's proper context, of course.
Exactly. Okay, and because we don't want to just people don't know, they didn't get notification and they didn't show up and they're not happy, but at the same time they missed. Okay, so we want to get a record about each of commissioner about their attendance.
And I
I'm
know,
sorry, real quick, just to clarify, that also includes meetings that didn't have a quorum. If there were meetings that had to be canceled because there weren't enough people, or it wasn't considered an official meeting, it should just be noted accordingly.
Yeah. So again, okay, yeah, I received notification from community service and regarding she disappointed has no quorum. Okay, hopefully we can. And address this issue, have all the commissioners to show up. If they're willing to serve, they should show up to serve, like us.
Yeah, and the problem, like you mentioned, Mayor Wu, is that they're not being called. So you can't expect someone who has a life to be called 24 hours before and say, show up tomorrow. It doesn't work like that. And so there needs to be more accountability on staff to notify these commissioners in advance. A minimum of 2 weeks advance notice on when their next meeting is going to be.
Can they keep the calendar?
Because we're gonna get a list of people, but then what's gonna happen? We're gonna blame staff. It's kind of like a vice versa issue here, because
I think all the meetings have already preset, right? So should we have a calendar? Okay, who's
We can provide a calendar. They are preset because they are determined that the date is set and the time is set, and so it's just a matter if we cancel it, that we cancel it the week before.
Let's do this. Okay, let's get an attendance report first. Okay, including why they miss. Are they still want to continue to serve? Okay, and if yes, then we say why you missed the. Okay, and the participant, because we need them. We need them to approve a lot of project and program. Okay, nobody against. Then
yeah. And I'll just say, staff, start calling the commissioners and notifying them of meetings in advance. Even though if you're sending them emails, make sure they're showing up. Call them, remind them.
No, I think
it's part of the job.
Lisa confused. What is this Mother May I? Okay, we why? No, you okay? Woohoo! Okay, yeah, you did fall asleep. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I kind of have a way. Okay, so Councilman Kento, you okay, right?
Yes, that's
very good. Okay, so other city council, any comment? Let's move to comment.
Oh, yes, no.
You still have a request?
No.
Oh,
I have a comment.
Okay, otherwise, I will shut it down.
Well, in that case, let me make one.
Okay, comment.
So I would like to invite the community, for those who have not applied yet, to apply. I am looking for a planning commissioner. I am looking for a HR commissioner and one community service commissioner. So I do invite the community to apply, and I encourage District 1 residents to apply too. So I can review your applications and determine if you're the best person to serve in those positions to represent our community in those various capacities. So thank you.
Thank you. And and Mayor Putin?
No, my only comment is I'd like to request to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay.
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. You want to give me 1 second? Okay. I just want to thank the staff to put the Spring Festival. Okay, I know it's a lot of effort, and we have room to improve. So hopefully, the program and the promotion that can be attract more people to participate. But Sunday night, and you have tons of people over there, very, very happy, and they all thank West Covina. They thank the staff. So thank you so much, and to put the joy to the people's face. Thank you. Okay, and you can
remember one thing. Oh, I just remembered one.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Okay, no, it's okay. You speak less than Brian, so you go.
Okay, well, thank you. I'd like to have the staff look into artificial intelligence language translation programs. I attended a meeting sponsored by the Los Angeles.
Is this a Mother May I?
Yes. Sorry, it's a Mother May I. Just
number 3, Mother May I, AI translation for
council meetings, so that way people who speak different languages will have the opportunity to have access through their preferred language.
Good. Okay, and nobody against that, right? Fine. Okay, I just want to have a question. Okay, answer. And I think all the audience has a hard time to see that projector. Okay, and they're all looking over here, and this still too small. Even it's 85. When are we going to have a new projector that people can see clearly for the presentation?
Yeah, you're right, me.
And the date for that would be the second meeting in May, please.
Oh, the second meeting in May.
Yes.
For the AI.
Yes.
Okay, and how about projector? When we going to? I know we already approved, and when we can install. When we already put a new TV, but it's still too small for people to sit over there to see it. We know it. I saw Mr. G is trying to watch that thing, but it's same here too. Okay, but hopefully that one. Do you have answer?
We're getting it as soon as we can. So we did have to place an order for it for the new projector. So as soon as we get it,
because this is very common right now. It's really pretty easy to install and purchase and install. So, and the chair, and I have a big problem. This is a welcome issue for me to sit here for so long because of Brian talking forever. Okay.
You'll have the chairs for your next council meeting.
Good. Next council meeting. You can adjourn now.
I'll move to adjourn. Please second quickly.
Second.
Too late. Done.
Thank you so much. Have a good night. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good night.